to fight off a turkey coma.
When was your Thanksgiving? You just had Thanksgiving today, right?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving today.
Okay.
Was it Friendsgiving?
It wasn't Friendsgiving. The family I was going to have Thanksgiving with was out of town on Thanksgiving, and then they came back and they hosted their Thanksgiving today, so I had Sattersgiving.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it was very nice. They had turkey and ham and mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and a Polish sausage noodle dish that was very nice.
Whoa.
Yeah. Then they had a bunch of other stuff, and it was good. It was good. It was very nice. I ate more than I should have, which is not good. But yeah, so I'm a little loopy right now. But yeah, I'll be just fine enough to get through this, the final episode of the Narrator Roundtable edition of Following the Plot. Hello, everyone. My name is VivianJade, the trained unprofessional, and welcome back to that which I have just described, the Roundtable Narration Edition. I've messed up the description of it.
Oh,
doesn't matter. I think they know what we're in for.
It's part 3, for God's sake. If you don't know what we're doing by this point, it's Q&As. You ask the questions, we answer some of them, most of them. We try our best. And I am joined by some of the most prestigious, fantastic, awesome, sweet-toothed. Sweet-toothed? Do you guys like candy?
Yes, I just had some yogurt.
Oh, yogurt? Would you just call yogurt candy?
Frozen yogurt, sorry. That's not the toppings. That's what I meant.
Oh, you had frozen yogurt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's fine. I'll go with that. But it was just like yogurt. Yogurt.
Just plain old yogurt.
It is a yogurt. That's my favorite candy. Yogurt with fruit in it. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. Hello, everyone. I already did that. Y'all do your intros because I'm drowning.
Yeah, that's fun. Yay! Welcome back, everybody. Dirk the Red Panda with some friends and some podcasting.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely. I was drinking, so I couldn't say anything.
Next!
Next! Go! Marshmallow Man!
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Marshmallow Bears. I'm a variety streamer and a member of Break Trail, and yeah, welcome in.
Yes! Marshmallow Man did good! Blaidd
Crosshair channel for VivianJade. I'm Blaidd Llwyd. And it's nice to be here with everyone, just doing a bit of chatting. As normally, I just sit by myself and read things aloud to people. So this is a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. And hope you're all going to enjoy this.
I enjoyed the little thing you did there. That was cool. I don't know what that means, but you changed it to be me, and that was so sweet. That was so
basically
sweet.
Welcome people to your channel there. So
it's you make my heart go thumpy thumpy. I like it. And finally, last but certainly not least, the Fallenwolf.
Dun, dun, dun. Hi guys, it's Fallenwolf here. I hope you guys are enjoying this long, fun, and very, very in-depth conversation we're about to have.
Yes.
Conversations.
We have a lot of questions that we have left to get through, and we're going to make this hopefully the last edition, unless we get a slew of questions on this one, and we just have to come back. But this is planned to be the last edition of the Q&A Roundtable, but who knows? We may be back to just shoot the shit sometime. I don't know. The future is yet to be defined. But first, we must get through these questions that have been sitting and waiting for so long. The first one coming from Sekhmet, the Egyptian god of something, I think. The question is, you've been doing voiceovers for quite some time now, and I'd imagine the way you draw enjoyment from making these materials has evolved. If that's the case, could you speak about how it's changed with time? And if not, could you tell us what still brings you joy in narrating these stories? For me, I could definitely say that it has changed over time because, I mean, when I first started doing this, I wasn't taking it seriously, which was a disservice to the material. And I grew to appreciate the stories being told more so than trying to pick at what I was seeing or looking at. Now, when I'm reading a visual novel that's new, I'm looking at it like a Christmas present that I haven't unwrapped yet. And yeah, sometimes you open a Christmas present and it isn't something that you were hoping for, or the wrapping made it look better than it would be. But sometimes it's something that's way better than you thought you would be. And you get that moment of, holy crap, this is fucking amazing. Or it just happens to be something that you have always wanted, but you didn't know it yet. That's the way I look at it now. And sometimes when it's going back to something, it's like revisiting an old friend. And that's for me what still brings me joy about narrating the stories. It's going to the stories that I really enjoy and being able to, after getting like an update, getting to go back to them and revisit them and see what's next. Oh, I can't wait to see what they get to do now. Or, oh, what's going to be next? I want to know, because with these stories, with most books that are finished cover to cover, you can turn the pages whenever you are up to it and you just stop whenever you feel like it. But with these, you have to stop turning the page at some point. And there's nothing quite like the anticipation that comes with someone telling you you can't turn that page until the next update comes out. And that breeds its own kind of joy. Anyway, let's start with Dirk.
Oh, good timing. Well, I was thinking about this. So when I started, it was really just kind of reading through the lines a little bit, just going through it and just being like, this is what's happening. I just kind of did a very flat, basic reading when I was first starting this. And over time, I really have evolved and changed. It started really becoming like I started trying on different character voices, different ideas of what the characters would be like. And as I was doing that, it really started feeling more like a performance or a good act for a game. Like you're adding another flavor to it. Not only do you get the creator's story, the writer's story, and their art, etc., you're also adding a additional element as a voiceover actor, narrator, etc. And once I really started taking that part super seriously, it was really fun. It felt like not only was I getting new content material following along with the story, but I was also envisioning and putting myself in the scene. I never been really much of an actor before it, and this really got me into the, I guess, the theatrical arts, the performing arts in a sense. So that's what changed with me, and that's kind of why I am the way I am today. Long and short of it.
I echo that sentiment. I also very much enjoy that. Blaidd Llwyd.
Well, back when I first started as well, I already had a bit of experience at doing some voice acting in a game, but with the videos, it's very much, okay, you know what, I think I'll do another episode of Echo today. 2-3 weeks later, oh yeah, I should do another one. Just not really taking it too seriously, not in the way I was recording it, but in just the way I was handling everything. I can do it now. It doesn't matter if it waits a few weeks. No one's really watching these. And now I'm bothered if I can't get everything out every week. Or I'll tell people ahead of time, okay, I'm taking a break here, just so you know. And I admire people who can do more than one video a week, because it is a lot of work. And I do have a full-time job, which doesn't help with this. It has changed from just a casual, yeah, I'll do that today. This is fun doing it, but it's nothing special, to, okay, there are lots of people enjoying these things. I really should do this. And I try always to still enjoy what I'm doing. Probably no one notices, but there have been 1 or 2 videos. I should get this done. I don't want to, but I won't have time tomorrow. Get this done. And I can tell if I hear it back, there's something missing in there. So yeah, just that change from casually to taking it more seriously, almost as job, especially since I set up the Patreon. Now I feel obliged to everyone to get these things done because you're giving me money for them. It's pretty nerve-wracking when I set that up.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, I do enjoy it. And like Dirk said, just adding that layer, which I didn't really think of when I first started. Doing echo is just something to do. But now it's, you have this very nice steak on your plate, a few trimmings around, and that's the VN. And then as voice actors, narrators, all of us are just adding different sources, different sides to it. Maybe doing it a little rarer, a little wilder, depends on people's tastes. And this is called stretching the metaphor very badly, especially when you're a vegetarian. This isn't going to work for you. But yeah, we do add something. And I started realizing after a certain point, and Dirk mentioned it very well. So yeah, that has changed. But pretty much overall, I still enjoy doing it. And I think if I ever get to the point I am really not enjoying doing these things, that might be time to stop.
Fair enough. Fallenwolf.
I mostly did it for fun. I think I had mentioned before, I think we had a previous question that was kind of similar, like how did you get introduced to visual novels? And like I said, I think I had explained the whole thing. For me, I got introduced mainly with anime visual novels, and then I moved on to furry visual novels. I had already been kind of dabbling a little bit in the furry fandom shortly before I found out about furry visual novels. And when I started, I think I could say the same thing. When I started, it kind of was like just like casual. Like I wouldn't say I wasn't trying, but I wasn't like putting my all into it. I was kind of like, oh, it's just something, something a little silly. It's probably just a little thing I'll do. I'll probably do this for a few months and stop doing it. And as time went on, I know, like for me, as time went on, the video started getting a little more notice. I started actually getting comments on videos, and it kind of made me feel like, oh, maybe I should put a little more work into these. So then so then I started actually doing voices, started working on voices. I started trying to figure out like, okay, well, what would this character sound like? Because I always used to love reading in general. I was always a big avid fan of reading growing up. So like visual novels for me was just like kind of like the next step, so to speak. And so I got into the groove pretty easily of visual novels, but it was really nice to kind of find an outlet because like when I get into visual novels, they're good for me for the most part. I feel like I can really get into these worlds, kind of similar to like with reading. And in fact, it's a little easier to get into these worlds just because you already have a lot of the visual medium there. With reading, you're mostly imagining things yourself. With for visual novels, you mostly have the art already there. So it's a little easier to get into.
And Marshmallow Bears.
I think the one big change, because like I've been reading visual novels on stream a lot, for a lot less time than the rest of you guys. I've only really started last year. But I think the thing that really changed for me is because when I first started, I did these as special little events of me reading these stories to my friends and them reacting to them. And now it's become like, oh, I can actually do this more seriously now. And I can make this a more consistent part of my stream schedule. And so it's still like a big event, but like now I've become just the visual novel guy in my stream team. And it's just me taking this a little bit more seriously. And whenever I get like a big group of people to play visual novels with, it's just like, okay, who's gonna play which voice, which character fits which person? Like, for example, when we did what is it? Where the Demon Lurks, me and my moderator, we sat down and was like, okay, who can best do who? Because I remember we talked about like, oh, Dirk, who would be really good for Dirk? It's like, oh, Vendrick, the big, loud, booming voice. But yeah, that's really been the big change for me, is this going from just a silly little once every other week thing to a permanent part of my streaming schedule and like presence.
Nice. Speaking of changes that you might want to make, one more question from Sekhmet. If you could have one skill mastered immediately, what would it be?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's not like the superpower question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? This is just a skill.
Completely voice acting related, or
No, just any skill.
Just
any
just in general,
one
right?
skill. Yeah, any skill, one skill of any kind, but you only get one mastered immediately. What would it be?
For me, I would say I'm not going to say voice acting because, in all honesty, when it comes to voice acting, as much as I enjoy it, it's also something I want to naturally grow into. I don't want to get the easy way out for something like that. So for me, I would say video editing.
No,
I really enjoy.
nice.
I really enjoy video editing. I've said this previously, I believe. YouTube. One of the best things about YouTube for me was finding out how much I really do enjoy video editing. Well, it's a love-hate thing. It's a love-hate relationship, you know. I really do enjoy the final product and getting the idea for the videos. I hate the middle, I guess you could say, when I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to jumble. It's like somebody just throws you a pile of trash on your desk, and you're like, all right, make something out of this. And I'm like, what am I supposed to make? And then I'm just like fumbling around trying to get these parts to go together. But then by the end, I'm really happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It looks amazing. You couldn't even tell it was trash in the beginning.
Yeah.
So video editing for me would be, I would love to have like legitimate, like professional video editing skills, because I really do enjoy that. And that's something I would love to continue to do as a hobby.
Nice. What about you, Marshmallow Bears? What skill would you like to have mastered completely, immediately? Sorry.
It's between writing literature and writing music. It's like,
Ooh.
I'd love to be able to just be able to like write all of these story ideas I have in my head. But like, I am dog shit when it comes to anything regarding language, be it speaking it, reading it, or writing it.
the stringer's curse.
And then it's just also like, I love music, but it is just so foreign to me. Like, I have no clue how any of that works, but I love taking it in. I just love to be able to do that.
Nice. What have you, Dirk the Red Panda?
Oh. Well, I would probably. Those are some good ones, Marsh. You took mine. No, I'm kidding. Those are ones I would definitely think about. But if I had to choose one and be unique, no. But I've been seriously thinking about this one. I would say probably the ability to interpret what's in my head visually, like as an artist, a designer, etc. I've done art for a few years now, and you definitely pick up on some things. And one of the true ways to really master it, quote unquote, there's no real mastery of it, is to do things through practice and time. But just having that sense, that innate nature to be able to like interpret something that's, you know, you're trying to visualize and whatnot and put it to paper. Like sometimes I'll just think of something and just be like, I don't think I have the artistic merit or skill to project that. Or it's like, how would that exactly look? Just things like that, especially for like visual novels and stuff, to really produce those scenes that really show exactly what you want to capture, that quality. Because since it's a visual novel, that's the real big aspect of it as a creator myself. So yeah, that's just something I've always wanted throughout time. I've seen people where it's like they have a lot more of that innate nature, and you still always have to grow with it. But it's something I've always wished for, but I'll continue doing my best and striving.
Yeah. You gotta keep working at it. I feel that. I feel that.
All right.
Blaidd?
Oh, mine would be more on the musical side as well. That's to be actually able to sing properly. I've had to do it a couple of times as a voice actor and in narration things that, yes, I need to be singing these words, and I am most definitely not a singer. It's also a problem being Welsh, because everyone thinks Wales, land of song, and yes, I really have a hard time hitting the right notes. And that would just be so nice to do. Just be able to, okay, I've got to sing this hymn to Ket. Okay, it's not my voice, but let's have a go and get it perfectly rather than having to apologize to anyone who hears that particular performance in the game.
Aw. Perhaps self-confidence is also something that would be nice to develop. I'm not right. But I am no one to preach that.
I was gonna say I need that to
Yeah. For me, I go back and forth on the superpower question on this and another one. The superpower one of the answers I give, if I can't have the first choice, is omnilinguism, the ability to speak and understand any language. So the skill version of that is the ability to master any language quickly or learn any language quickly. So the ability to learn languages. I am absolutely enthralled with the idea of multilingualism, and I am utterly frustrated with my monolinguistic limitations. And I would love to be able to sit down, go through whatever program, Duolingo, whatever the hell, or sit down with a tutor and just figure it out or get into a class. But there just seems to be a limit to the amount of things I can learn before I just have to start doing it myself. And then I just don't do it. And when it comes to learning a language, and it's very frustrating because there are a number of languages I want to know and be fluent in, but I'm just not good at doing it. So the ability to learn, pick up, and be fluent in languages quickly, that would be the skill I would pick up, because I feel like understanding people better is generally goes in line with the values that I have set up in general.
Yeah, that's a very important one, especially if you're really trying to convey an emotion with things. Like, it's so interesting to see either songs or anything like acting wise in a different language, because it's just when you see them hit like different inflections and whatnot on words, and you're like, why'd they hit it there? If you like look at a straight translation or whatnot, there's just so many unique aspects of language.
Yeah, I feel you. Being Hispanic and not knowing Spanish, it's like, God damn it, I really wish I knew this language, but like I said, I dog shit when it comes to language, and I just want to be able to learn another language, but my brain just isn't set up for that.
True.
Yeah. And sometimes you can have a word in one language. You just say that word, it means something, but it doesn't exist in another language, or you spend ages trying to explain yourself. Right, just one word, done. I know there are a couple of words in Welsh like that. And just trying to explain to someone, it takes a while.
Yeah. And there are only certain levels of tools that you have to try to bridge the gap. Like if you don't have a fluent translator or someone around you that can bridge the gap with expertise, then you're left with like Translate, like usual Translate. And like the most recent build of Burrows has a significant portion where you're switching between German and Japanese and English. And fortunately, we've developed the usual Translate. I'm saying usual because I don't want my phone to fucking light up. But the usual Translate camera, where you can hold up your camera to a bit of text.
Oh yeah.
And you can say detect language, and it'll detect language sometimes and use its translate. But the thing is, it's still usual Translate, so it doesn't get it right most of the time. Well, it's gotten better over the years, but it's still not perfect. And so I had to go through that entire build holding up my phone to the fucking game screen and being like, I hope to Christ this is what they meant.
Yeah.
But I still remember the day when they first set that up, typing stuff in and be like, hola, that means apple. What the fuck? I know that's not right.
And my boyfriend has actually tried out one of these language apps just for Welsh, very basic stuff. And there's some useful things there, but one of the phrases they taught him in the first or second lesson was "Not Like," which translates means "Good evening, dragon." And it's not really a common phrase used in Wales. You know, we don't have that many dragons around. Say good evening to. We're still laughing about that one. So yeah, it's nice things to do, but sometimes I'm not quite sure who programs these things.
It's funny. But at least, you know, it's still the effort being made.
Yeah, they're trying.
Speaking of trying, the next question is from Velo Kraken, who asks, what has been the most difficult thing to narrate when someone in a visual novel is screaming like, please somebody help, something like that? I can't scream that in my house. I just have this fear or paranoia or something that someone's going to hear that and think I'm in trouble, or something is going to be off, or something's going to go wrong or whatever. And so I generally, even if I've been narrating the shit out of a scene going up and until that point, if that line comes up, I just say it normally and then give the explanation that I can't scream that. I don't feel comfortable yelling that. I can hear any time any one of my 4 neighbors plays their radio. Like, if I start screaming, someone please help, there is a very real possibility someone could fucking hear that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think if I heard someone screaming, someone please help, that I would think, oh God, someone might be in danger and want to try to help.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you want to know your neighbors well enough to be like, hey, I voice act if I am screaming. Most of the time, I wouldn't need help. It's
but
so
then you get
weird.
a boy who cries
like,
wolf situation. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What if I'm
That's
actually in help?
say.
Like,
I feel like
It
I
should
feel
be
like
in
you
your
could
own
almost
voice.
I feel like you could almost add that to like the fire thing. I've never seen a situation in a visual novel, but now I'm like, now I'm thinking like, if you have like a visual novel where it's like they're like, you know, like help, there's a fire, like you can't.
Yeah, I don't have a soundproof booth that I'm narrating this shit in. The second thing that's difficult for me to narrate, just comes from my own kind of just self-conscious in nature, is I've been trained by YouTube to be wary of sex scenes. Yeah, going into it, I didn't think anything of it. Like, in my original attitude towards these games, I mean, fuck, the first one I played was amorous. I did not give a shit. I was like, oh, okay, fine, and then I would just read it. But you know, I was willing to put up with a lot playing that game. But I was able to read it just fine. But now whenever it comes up, I'm just like, oh God, oh, my whole life is gonna die. You know, and so now I'm fucking skittish.
Yeah, it's like they crack down on that site. It's like it also, kind of is site by site, but yeah, it's like any streaming service in general feels like that. Like in the earlier days, it felt like, obviously it's like before things really, really cracked down. But yeah, it's like nobody was really getting on people for that. So it was just like, I'm just doing it, I guess. And then, yeah, as things just got more strict, it really does make you self-conscious. Because like, I think I saw some of your older videos and I was like, yeah, she's reading them, so I guess I could try to do it. And then eventually I saw you becoming a little more careful about that. eventually YouTube a couple of times was like, hey, we gotta like restrict this or whatever, blah blah blah, and that helped me to be like, I gotta be careful.
Yeah.
So,
I had to.
it's partly trial and error, but also partly just the scene in general.
Yeah, I mean, I had to re-edit some of my videos just to take out the sex scenes sometimes, and there was such a big batch one time of videos that got flagged all at once that when I went through and re-edited them, I literally, and it was petty and it was dumb and I shouldn't have done this, but I edited the whole scene out, just put in like my face being mad, and then changed the title to YouTube is run by Puritans, and that's the title of the video. And I'm like, oh, so edgy, right? Like, who gives a shit? Just do the video, you fucking petty bastard. Like, but it's whatever. Like, if that's the rule, like, whatever. But that's just the subconscious effect it's had on me. Okay, the last one is that doing this, I've realized that my accent work is weak. And so especially if my partner is home, I get very self-conscious because I just feel like they're in real time judging me, and that reminds me of the not in real time judgment that will happen once the video is out. It gets difficult when someone is like, oh, this person is explicitly Australian, or this person's explicitly, whatever. And I'm just like, no, they're not. Not for this reading. No, they're not.
Yeah, that actually kind of segues me into. I said segues like as if like how it's spelled, but like it's segues. Oh, my brain. Jeez. Sometimes you just see a word and you're like, what? Like you see a word and you just don't understand. But yeah, sorry. The transition I was gonna make was with accents or anything that's like kind of on your outer edge of your range or something further from your range. It's my hardest thing for me is trying to do a very either emotional scene. Yeah, I guess emotional, either like very happy, very sad, very mad, etc. Like anything that's very emotional that you really have to like push the character for. It's really hard because like you're in your normal voice, you're like, you can be angry, be happy, be sad, whatever it is, and that's just natural to you. But when you're doing a different voice, a different impression, you have to learn how to portray that in that different voice. Like you can try at first, and then it's like you end up reverting maybe back to like a normal voice, a slightly different voice, etc. It's like you have to fine tune it. That's like one of the trickiest things for me, because then it's like I have to be a lot more conscious about how would this voice sound sad? How would this voice get really angry? Like I have to like think about like what I'm pushing in my body, what I'm moving around, adjusting, whatever it is that produces that while being angry. It's not like when you just get angry normally and you don't think about it.
Yeah. Marshmallow Bear.
I think you guys touched on both of mine. Sex scenes and just really, really emotional scenes, especially if you've given the character like more of a silly voice. Like I have a hard time doing like emotional, like crying scenes to begin with, just because I can't cry in command. But if I found that I've given the character a more, off the wall, silly voice, I'm like, uh-oh. This character isn't meant to be. This voice isn't meant to be crying. Uh-oh. Oops. But then with like sex scenes, it's not just because of the TOS thing for me. It very much is the TOS thing for me. Because I like my channel and I don't want it gone. But it's also me being more of like Ace. It just makes reading that stuff kind of uncomfortable. It's just like, oh, okay, they're really going at it. Okay. Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't. When is this going to be over? Can I be done? I'm just going to skip through this.
Fair enough.
But yeah, those are my two things that I could think of. I'm sure there's more. Like, I guess another really hard thing for me is just, which we've talked about before, is coming up with female voices, just because it's out of my range,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something I really need to work on.
Well, that was something that Blaidd had mentioned. And speaking of Blaidd,
Oh, yes. I still remember trying to play Night in the Woods and having May screaming at something. Completely impossible for me. But like a couple of you already mentioned, yeah, accents are my particular thing as well. I've got a little more comfortable with some things as I've gone along, but the first time I came across it was actually back when I started playing Echo. Of course, a few episodes were fine, then we meet Kudzu. And I know from what the character's owner said on the Discord, he's canonically Chinese. There's no way I'm going to get anywhere near that. And certainly if I try, I'll be so offensive. It'd be embarrassing for me and let alone anyone else. So I just made him come from somewhere in the valleys, like up Prior, like, so he has more of this kind of accent, which does not fit him at all. But it was literally the only way I could work around that. And yet anyone says, oh, he has this really strong accent. Oh, no.
my God,
How can I do this?
I gave him a New York accent. I didn't even fucking think.
I just happen to know that aside from the end. So yeah, that works if you don't know it. Like listening to Dirk's version of the Smoke Room. That voice he gives Sam is so good, and I think it really fits him. Of course, I can't go anywhere near that, so I'm kind of uncomfortable doing that. Oh yeah, no, there's much better voices and much better accents. So yeah, accents are the worst things. And again, like mostly the TOS and the sex scenes, yes, that is a bit of a problem. But also, one time I was actually talking to a VN dev and saying about, sex scenes are so awkward to write sometimes. And, this is really bad writing. I write much better than this. And I get to this, oh no. So I think it's on both ends sometimes of the VN spectrum, from writing it to recording these scenes. It's a little hard to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the two I mainly have problems with. Sometimes if something is quite grim, I can think of a few ones I've done recently. They are a little hard to get through. You need to do something else afterwards just to get yourself out of that mindset of how dark something has got. But I can generally get through them. I just know how to handle things afterwards and get myself back to it.
I was going to say on accents, because I just remembered on my thing on accents, I remember I was reading Dawn Tide, and it's all set in Britain. None of those characters are British.
Oh. I feel like I deal it with I feel like I deal it with Blaidd. I was like I don't want to do British accents. He's around, and I just forget. I give like a character a British accent. I'm like, oh, this is so bad, and I'm like, I'm offended him so much. Oh.
There's another one I was playing recently. I don't remember what it was, but they were like all based in somewhere where I was like, if I did all of them with an accent, it would be so annoying after so a while for everyone watching. I'm like, I'm just gonna spare you of that.
you know what visual novel? There's one visual novel I remember, and the voice made me laugh, and it's not your fault. I know you're trying, but I don't know why it made me laugh. This is a long time ago. You did an Australian accent for a certain kangaroo character. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh God!
You know what I'm talking about, don't you? And I
Yes.
remember watching
Wolfstar Sins in Paradise, right?
I remember watching.
Oh my God.
I remember watching the live stream, and I just hear that voice, and I just started.
I can't do an Australian
I know
accent.
it's okay, and it's not your fault. I can't either. But it's just,
But why does that? Why is that keep popping up so many times?
Does it? I
it did, because
it was the only
yeah.
only accent I can remember like vividly. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember
Australian accent that's in Wolfstar. In there's also isn't there an Australian character in Santa Lucia? Right.
I haven't watched your Santa Lucia.
And I think there's one in there, and then isn't Ralph in the Smoke Room? Isn't he Australian?
Oh,
maybe.
I don't know. I put
I
on a
would
more
love
proper
to-
voice for him all the
I'd
time.
love to hear that he's not, because I've been having to do one for him this entire time, and I thought he was.
Whoa.
Because if he's not, then I can stop doing that, and I would
Immediately
love to.
recasted.
Yeah, immediately. I'm just gonna make him. I'm gonna give him the Darius voice, and it's done.
Oh.
Does anyone, because we've done this before in our readings, does anyone give accents to characters that definitely do not have accents? Because my favorite one is Flynn's roommate. I forgot his name, but I love him.
Daxton?
yeah.
Daxton?
Daxton. He's Australian in every single fucking reading that we do. There's no reason. He's just, well, there is a reason. I had an Australian friend that played him once. And then after they couldn't make it, we were just like, he's Australian now. Daxton is Australian.
Oh, I love this canon.
I feel like for like it was either Dasher and Terrier. I feel like I gave a character a Cockney accent, and I don't know why. I think it was a Dasher, and I can't remember. It was like a minor character, and it's like I don't know why. And I think I gave him like a Cockney accent, and I was like, why am I giving this character?
I do have an unfortunate history of slipping in New York accents where ought not to be in a New York accent, like the aforementioned kudzu. I just couldn't think of one. I didn't know that there was supposed to be, like you said, a Chinese accent. I didn't know, and so I was just like, I just started doing a New York accent, and then someone commented like, "What the fuck happened with the accent?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll rein this back a bit."
I can't do a New York accent to save my life. Like, I always feels like it cuts off for me. Like, I tried giving one to like Thanatos from Password, but it just keeps coming up too sassy. I don't know.
Try. You could always try a Brooklyn accent. That's always like a fun one to do. A very, very annoying.
No offense to the Brooklyn audience.
No, I'm just saying the accent when you're trying to do it, because it's like you're very loud and boisterous usually. It's like, hey, forget about it. You know.
Oh, fucking forget about it. Those
Fucking forget about it.
All right. Before we get too far away from it, Fallenwolf, what's been the most difficult thing for you to narrate?
So I think we mentioned it. So sex scenes are rough usually, just because for me, like I love voice acting, so I really want to get into these roles. So that means when I do, these sex scenes, I'm really trying to get into it, and it's like in my head, I'm like, oh, this is so, I can't believe I'm doing these. I can't believe I'm really trying. I'll be like, try.
Oh yeah.
Like trying to get the right like sounds. So you guys pretty much answered that. And then the also hard thing for me is if there's a character that I completely, or not necessarily completely, but no, yeah, we'll go with that. If there's a character that I completely disagree with, like I don't like them, I think they have terrible motivations, I just think they're a scumbag, and I have to voice them, and especially if I'm voicing them doing like a heinous thing, it's very hard for me to want to voice the character, because it's like, I hate this character. I don't want to read these lines. They're saying these horrible things, and I just but not like just because I hate the character. I mean, like if it's like a character that's doing a really horrible, heinous action,
yeah,
and having to try to stay in the character. Like an example that mixes both of those together, and I'm not going to describe the scene because we don't need to describe the scene. Neko, this was back before when I was posting everything, just blurring certain things. There was a certain scene where I was playing a certain characters for Neko Jishi. There's a certain scene that most of you guys probably know what I'm talking about. That was not fun to do.
Yeah.
Another one, yeah.
I remember voicing. I was like, I don't want to voice this. I freaking hate this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So like basically stuff like that. Basically a mix of doing sex scenes and doing characters that do like really heinous things. Like when I'm doing a character and I have to try to stay in character, it'll be a mom scream, and I'm like, screw this guy, stop it, don't let him do this. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why is he doing this?
It does get hard to hold back the incredulity of it all. That's what makes it hard when I've been told that I'm not proud of the fact that people have said that they enjoy my Brian voice. Brian from Echo and Arches. Because Brian is... I literally avoided using Brian in any thumbnail from Echo. But now that Brian is so unavoidable in Arches and he's in the CGs, he's had to be in thumbnails. So all that work in Echo was just for naught. But I enjoy that voice. I do not enjoy Brian. I hate Brian. I
don't think you're supposed to enjoy him.
No,
Honestly,
you're not supposed to enjoy Brian. I am thoroughly disgusted by Brian and everything to do with Brian. But the fact that, like, think about it, like, to be told that, like, Dirk, your Sam is the canon Sam, or Blaidd, your Amicus is the canon Amicus. Those are noble characters with flaws, sure, but those are also very good voices and very, like, whatever. To be told that you're the canon Brian.
That'll be bad.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's not something to hang your hat on, brother.
You gotta be the villain.
I feel this.
Everyone
I feel
loves a
the-
villain, right?
Not that one!
Oh, I know some people that do.
Not people in the right mind!
I feel a similar way when I'm doing Vendrake for where the demon lurks. I'm like, I get so into the performance, but like internally, I'm just like, screw this. I hate what you're doing so much. Stop. But it's quite a hammy character to ham up, whoever the phrase is.
You know what other character did? We already brought this up, so we're not going to go into a whole debate. Another character I was really back when I played Lagoon Lounge, having to do the main character's voice. That was, oh my gosh, especially because in the beginning, obviously, my view was different. I was like, oh, this character can't be that bad. They must improve, and then, by the end, I'm like, I won't want to read these lines. I hate. I'm like, stop doing these things, Koi.
That's the worst thing too, because my default voice for the main characters is just my voice, because that's what I also do for the narrations. And so when the main characters of these novels turn out to be assholes or idiots, I'm just like, thanks for making me sound like a dumbass. From Chris Morales. Which visual novel has had the biggest impact on your life?
I can take this one easily.
Oh, easy.
Tennis Ace by far. The one I've done the longest, the one I'm still doing. Everybody just gets hooked on all my roots. Like, I remember the first big one for me, one of the first ones that really felt like a big breakthrough for me was like doing Shuichi's like romance scenes, like the one he's finally confessing and all this stuff, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is like the first one I saw, the first time I saw somebody read it, and it's like so emotional, and people just go all ham over it. And like I would end up getting similar things for like KSK or June, even Haruki recently. People have just gone nuts, even though a lot of people hate him. It's like I could see the whole reason, and just like it's just one of them, not only for me where I've loved the story just so much for my own sake, but just the reaction everybody else gets has been one that really has sunk in with me the most, even if maybe it technically isn't the, I guess, quote unquote, most popular series that I've done or anything like that. It's just still one of the ones that's just, it feels like one of my pivotal series. One of the, what is it, cornerstone series of mine?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Adastra. And that's going to be, I know it's going to be a very hot topic when this video comes out. I'm going to say Adastra.
Okay.
Now for me, Adastra, it's not for like, ooh, sexy wolf character. Ooh. It's
Amicus Coon.
No, it's for, in all seriousness, I think it's well, at least the best example we have in furry visual novels, at least that I've played. Again, the ones that I've played and completed, that show that you can have a very epic story with a lot of, you can have a very epic story with, a lot of serious consequences or serious, effects for the main character, and have it still be a romance. Like I feel like I'm wording it poorly, and I'm trying to word it correctly. But like, for the most, to an extent, Dasher does have a big cast of characters, kinda, somewhat. But despite like all that, still a romance, and I think it does it a little more well than other stories. I mean, it's nice to see. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, it's nice to see a story that doesn't have to be one or the other. It tries to be both. Does it succeed in that? That's a question for other people to answer, not me. But it's kind of nice because sometimes you either get romances that feel like they're very close-minded, like they're very tight. You don't really get a lot of interaction with the other characters, or the setting where it takes place in, or etc. So, Dasher for me. I feel like I'm going on and I'm not saying anything. But yeah, Dasher.
I totally understand you. I get you. Marshmallow Bears.
I think anyone that knows me knows the answer. It's God, it's gotta be Echo. God damn it. That game was, I had such a hyperfixation. Like, Adastra is what got me into furry visual novels, but like Echo was like my furry visual novel. Like, holy shit, I fell in love with the characters, and even though that story is just heart-wrenching, I love it. I have the Flynn docky because someone bought it for me. Like, God, it was the first one I streamed on my channel. Like, I debuted as a VTuber and immediately played Echo. That might have been a horrible decision, but it's my decision.
Yeah.
That was the story I wanted to share with all of my friends and people that watched my videos. And when that final Jenna update hit, I felt incredibly sad that it was over. Like, it was just like, wow, the story's done, huh? I love that world. Yeah, it's got to be Echo.
Nice. Blaidd Llwyd.
I have to go with Fallen on this one, and definitely Adastra. There's a few reasons for it. One is that I started that just as getting towards the tail end of TJ's route in Echo. And I can't say for certain I would have kept going with all these, because Adastra came out. I know, Viv, you did it like the afternoon, and I recorded and put up in the evening of the same day.
Really?
Yeah, I know, because someone's already got it good. So anyway, just a side note there. Huh. And that really started pushing up the views and the subs. I actually hit 1,000 subs after I started Adastra. It was very small before I'll never hit 1,000. Then Adastra happened, and people seemed to like it and kept going. So that's definitely had an influence on the channel there. Another reason is it actually started a friendship with someone in the fandom who I'm not going to name, just because I don't want to drag someone else in or make it seem like I'm boasting about it. But we've had some interesting conversations ever since Adastra. And also Amicus, because he is such an easy character for me to play. Almost immediately, and I was reading his lines, okay, I know how this guy sounds. And that's exactly how I kept doing it. And I don't think about how Amicus is reacting when I see a line. I don't have to stop and think, okay, how would he do this line? I just do it. And it's odd because there's another character that I played. So, of course, you all know Amicus. So he's like, the other character I just very easily get into character with is a 125-year-old blind seer who's a bear and has a strange sense of humor. They're very different. I don't know what that says about me, actually. But just finding this character, 'cause I did all of Echo. I love Echo. No, there's no doubt about that, I think. But just, I never got into character as I did with Amicus, and that's why it still has a special place with me. Definitely Adastra, yeah. If Howley hadn't done that, if Haps hadn't done all the work on the sprites, maybe I wouldn't be doing this now.
I was requested to say something to Miss VivianJade. It is about your Adastra video. So the whole reason I got into for visual novels was recording them and all this stuff was because my lovely partner watched your video for Adastra because she was too lazy to read it, and so you're the reason I'm here. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you.
Howdy.
That's incredible. Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I would as grateful as I am to say that, I would dare say that you would owe yourself a great deal more credit to any and all progress you have achieved and the success you have earned, because as much inspiration as you can take from any source, anything that you earn in this life comes from choices you make, and you're the only one that can make those choices. So you making your channel, you streaming as much as you do, the hard work you've put in, those are all choices you had to make. So whatever role I played in that, I am extremely grateful and proud to have been a part of it. But you earned it, my friend. You are the one to thank for those. And I'm proud of you for doing it.
Yeah, I like to give props where props are due, though.
Dang it, I was gonna say, I've already said it before. I've said that Vivian was Vivian, and Vivian was one of the first YouTuber, well, the furry visual novel YouTubers that I followed, and that I enjoyed so much, that actually inspired me to make my channel too. Because when I was doing it originally, I was like, oh, I really enjoy these. I thought about doing videos, like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm like, nobody's gonna really want to watch these videos. I'm like, does anybody even do videos like that? And then I found about Vivian Jade channel, and I've mentioned it before, the Vivian Jade, and I think afterwards I found Dirk's channel, and then I found Dirk Cookie. Anyway, the point was, yeah. So like I found their channel, and then you inspired me. I was like, maybe I can do these, and then I started making these videos, and I really enjoyed doing them so much, and that's why I still make them, because like I really enjoyed what you do, and like in your earlier videos you come across as a little silly, a little silly.
Yes.
But you know what? I actually enjoyed it because it didn't feel like you were putting on a facade. It seemed like generally like that was you and that was your character. And that's one of the biggest things you have to do to keep me around as a viewer. Is if I feel like you're putting on a facade, then I don't want to watch you, even if you're trying to be funny. If you're generally just trying to crack jokes, even if they come across as corny, I know you're trying to be yourself, and that comes across a little better for me than, oh, what's popular with the fellow kids nowadays? Oh, this, all right, we'll make some of these jokes over there. Swag, YOLO,
Oh God.
So like I appreciate that you don't do that. You stick to what you enjoy. You have your opinions, whether people agree or disagree with them. You do have your opinions, and you do state them, and you make sure people know this is what I believe, and you don't have your opinion changed unless it's a general look into yourself, and you decide your opinions.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot to me. I've always felt that the best way to be is true, and I've always tried to be that in any environment, and so I'm glad that has been apparent, even in my less digestible moments. But that's genuinely very, very sweet, and you got me crying in the club right now, guys. Jesus.
Well, that's like I can even bring that up with North, because like I follow like North. Like I didn't follow North till late. I didn't follow him till lately. Dang it! How did I find you? I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was something you did with Dirk, but I remember I started following you, and I generally enjoyed your content because you come across as you take it very. It's like the like I know I just mentioned silliness, but you take it very seriously. I feel like you take it very professionally, and you have a very like method to your narration. You seem to take it very seriously, And that was encouraging too, because for somebody that's really adamant like me to get into voice acting and to know that even despite the material that's presented in front of you, whether it's silly or not, you still try to take it seriously and you see it as, practice, or you see it as, material to really work with. And I think that's a big thing. And I think that's a been encouragement to me because, it shows that just because these stories are furry visual novels, just because people are like, oh, they're colorful dogs. So what kind of characterization can you make for these characters? It shows it doesn't matter what a character looks like. There can be a lot of characterization you can do with these characters. There's a lot of personality you can add to these characters that doesn't always have to be silly, goofy Mickey Mouse voices.
Oh, thanks.
I feel like I'm going
encouraging you.
Like, yeah, no problem. I'm really glad, and like I said, I'm really glad to have met you. Like, I'm really glad that hopefully be considered a friend. I really enjoy your content, and I like watching your videos when I get the chance. And I really enjoy your content. You're a very big inspiration for me in regards to the professionalism aspect of voice acting.
Well, I do count you as a friend, so have no concerns about that.
Thank you. But we're talking about people are probably like, are you guys gonna move on with the questions? So you can move on with the questions, Vivian. That was it.
Yeah. Wow. That was very nice. At the hour mark, we're just getting mushy.
It's the last one of these. We all got to say our piece.
Yeah, and this is the crescendo.
Unfortunately, I can't say too much about Marshmallow because I don't really get to usually see your stuff. I don't really go on Twitch that much. That's the only reason why. But you seem really nice, and I know you're pretty new. The whole thing. Dirk's been great too. I followed. I think I started following Dirk. I was kind of snooping. I was doing some sneaking for his channel for a while after I started following Vivian. I think the first video I caught of Dirk's was after class years ago, because I don't think you've touched after class in a while, or at least the ones I'm thinking about were long.
Unfortunately, but yeah, so fun series.
I can attack Dirk too. Vivian got me into these things, but Dirk is the inspiration for me to actually stream them, because I was like,
oh shit,
can you actually stream these things? And I was just like, it turns out when you search some of these visual novels, Dirk is one of the first people to come up. And I was just like, oh, this person does that. I can do this too.
When it comes to streams, absolutely. Dirk's usually I think the only one of us that does a lot of consistent streaming. Like Vivian, I know you've done a few your old videos. I know you've done a few streams. I've caught but most part you do your stuff's recorded and all that fun stuff.
I'm scared to stream visual novels anymore. I'm too scared to now.
Yeah, no, I understand. I stopped doing. I started slowing down a little bit with most of them. I remember when I tried to do extracurricular activities and I got there wasn't, and it was I was like, what? It was like, oh, YouTube, the bots have taken down your stream, and I'm like, for what? And I'm like, for literally they were in the locker room changing.
Yes.
And they took it down.
Crap like that. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, I think probably I saw Dirk's first video.
No.
I know it was very earlier on, because you commented on one of mine and said, I should check this guy out. Yeah. Oh, great. He's good. I'll start subscribing and following him.
Yeah, I think it was something similar with you, where I'm like, why aren't more people looking at you? You're everything's so great about you. Oh my gosh.
Adastra for me. I think it was Adastra. But it was ironic though. I was following another person who was playing Adastra, and they stopped because they just stopped making videos for it. And then I think one of the random recommendeds was you, and then I was like, oh well, how far has this person got? And it was the whole series up to that point, because I've been following visual novels for a long time. It was up to that point. I was like, well, this person's still doing it. And I started watching your videos. Then I watched your older stuff. I watched your older Echo videos, old Echo videos, Night in the Woods, etc. But yeah.
Oh, you're the one who watches Night in the Woods. Oh, good to know.
Well, I mean, a certain someone here has been playing it recently.
It's good. I would really recommend that. It's very,
very good shooting game. Yeah,
I mean,
it's a great game. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, Marsh was kind of how I got into Twitch streaming because I'm like, maybe I should do multiple platforms, and just found that. I was like, oh, a whole VN friend. Yes. There we go. There's the full pat on the back for everybody. Everyone gets a little treat. But all genuine, though. Seriously, y'all are great.
So the visual novel that's had the biggest impact on my life.
Oh, there was a question. They actually talked about.
What was the question?
Sorry,
I think.
I was debating between Echo and extracurricular activities for this one because I feel like Echo gave me the greater appreciation for getting into the excitement of the visual novel and like the upcoming lore and the deeper worlds and everything like that. But from extracurricular activities, despite the fact that my excitement for it has waned and grew and waned and grew and waned, you know, it goes in and out, and I haven't played it regularly in a long time. Updates are very sparse on my channel, and I'm aware of that, but it was one of the very first ones. It's the longest running series on my channel, so it has that backbone factor that Dirk talked about with his choice of tennis ace, but also it was one of the very first ones, just like Dirk mentioned, but as well, I've learned a lot of things about how I interact with this medium and with the way I need to approach life in the way that I have approached playing this game. And it's weird the amount of life lessons I've come away with by how I've played this game. Like when I was trying to stream this game all the time because it was what I wanted to do to please the fans, I was doing it instead of playing it because I wanted to. Well, I started to resent the game, but I realized I still liked the game, but I was resenting how I was doing it. I learned very quickly that you can ruin good things by doing the thing wrong. I learned in general to appreciate things that on the surface can seem silly if you do not appreciate them or give them the time to prove themselves. Because when I first approached extracurricular activities, I had never seen anything that looked like that. And it was with the old art style. And I was not familiar with furry art almost at all. And so I was looking at that and I was like, I was coming off of Amorous and I was looking at it like, there is no way this is anything other than some more porn with a plot kind of fantasy fulfillment. And then it hit me with some feels and some plot and some story. And I was like, what the fuck? And so it just kept hitting me with all of these things I was learning, and I'm learning about all this stuff. And then more recommendations came in of other stories that I came to love and appreciate because of this game. And so I have a lot more to credit extracurricular activities with, in addition to enjoying the game itself. It's not my favorite visual novel. It's not the one I want to play the most often, but it is definitely the one that has given the biggest impact to my life out of all the ones I've played. You know, Marsh, you mentioned like wanting to get all the stories out of your head and writing them down. I kind of had something like that where I have this like the notes app on my phone where I would, every time I had like a story idea and I was just like, I gotta write that down before I forget it, I would write it in the notes app. And it wouldn't always be in the same note. So sometimes I'd just have like a note that said like a line of some random shit. And sometimes I wouldn't remember what the fuck it was. But sometimes it'd be a note of like 3 or 4 of them. And so finally, I was like, you know, I gotta get these all on their own individual things. So I finally went to Docs and made an individual doc for each one of these story ideas, and there's one I still need to make because I forgot that it was actually on a Discord RP server, not a server, but just between me and a friend. And we never actually did it, but it was an idea that I had. And counting that one, there's 20 of them.
Whoa.
There's 20 of them, and they're just fucking sitting there. And I have the exact same problem. I got no capacity to actually turn these into stories. So you and me, we got to find a literary agent or something. Not a literary agent, but a publishing rights people. We got to find someone we can sell ideas to. Be like, these are ideas. You can turn them into something if you want, but do something with this. Give me money for it, though.
I didn't even know that was a thing you could do. I thought you always had to make your own ideas.
Well, we have the ideas. We just can't turn it into a book or a show or something. But like songwriters, like musicians don't always write their own songs, and songwriters don't always come up with the idea for the song that originally they write. You know, it's the idea isn't always sourced from the people that realized its fruition, and eventually someone has to buy that source, concept by this person, and then written by this other person, directed by this other person. And it's because there are just concept writers or concept artists. All they do is write and publish concepts.
Oh.
Dude, it's so cool we're going to the moon again.
Ooh,
Really?
about time.
Yeah. My partner has started a campaign to take a puppet of Tutter the mouse to the moon when they actually take people to the moon. Because this first one is just to the orbit of the moon, but the one after, eventually they're going to be taking people to the moon again. Y'all watch Bear in the Big Blue House?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. Tutter wants to be the first mouse on the moon. And so my partner wants to get a puppet of Tutter to go on the moon so that Tutter can be the first mouse on the moon. Because, I mean, Tutter's been very patient. That show has been off the air for a while now. It's a real small mouse. Wouldn't take up that much space. Just saying, NASA, get on it. Robert Zhang asks, what's your favorite unintentionally funny moment?
Oh, I have time. I need time to think.
I have one. I had to think about this one, but I know what my answer is here. But with any favorite, we've given this disclaimer on previous episodes. This is just what we can think of in this moment. And with any kind of favorite thing, it's almost guaranteed that like immediately after we stop recording or a little bit later, we're going to be like, oh, we should have said that one. And then it's all over. So just remember that we're all facing these questions in the moment. And so sometimes obvious things or whatever consideration, blah, blah, blah. One of my favorite unintentionally funny moments has to be, and this is no offense to the original artist, but in extracurricular activities, Darius's face with the original art. And that is the reason why Darius has that voice in my playthrough, because Darius's voice was not always sounding kind of smoothed out and kind of with a almost Southern Belle style, the way that he is now. Originally, it was a lot more like pointed and kind of stumbly, because I thought he had a stupid face. And so I gave him a stupid voice. And So a voice that eventually became this started off as this. I'm Darius, and so I started off as this. And so at one point someone asked, "Hey Darius, what do you like to do? You're going to the pool? What are you going to do there? Swimming." And that, with him with that face and a totally grayed out background, and just with that voice saying "swimming," I just cracked up.
Okay, I got one. I got a couple.
All right, Marshmallow Bears, let's hear the lols.
So lots of things can happen on stream. It's a live event. And the first one was during my first ever VN stream. I was streaming Echo Route 65, I think it's called.
Mhm.
And in comes this person. So this is my first time showing everyone in my sphere of people this thing, this game, this Echo stuff. So my mods don't know about it, my friends don't know about it, and in comes this person that just talks about Janice drinking piss. This person named Janice drinking piss. And so one of my mods is like, okay, fuck you, and bans them. I look on the Echo Discord, and in there, McSkinny is like, fun stream, got banned for some reason though.
No.
And I was like, you banned the writer?
What? Oh no, don't bring up Juicy with that.
Yeah, so the first time I ever streamed Echo, McSkinny got banned. We unbanned him, so it's all good now. But like, yeah. And then the second one, we're streaming Echo again. We're in Leo's route, so Kudzu's there, and I have a friend who knows Kudzu's creator, and they asked them a question, and it took them a while to answer the question. But during we were reading the novel, and are you guys familiar with Alpha, Beta, Omega?
Yeah. 2-1.
So it's a fan fiction thing. It has a lot to do with Mpreg.
Oh my god, where the hell are you going with this?
We're just reading the visual novel, and my friend just comes and says, Marsh, they got back to me. And I'm like, they got back to what? No, like I asked Kudzu's creator, what is Kudzu an alpha or an omega? Like, Kudzu's an omega. And I'm just like, holy shit!
Oh my. Is this
So,
the person
word of God.
the Mpreg person?
So, word of God, Kudzu's the bottom.
I would have guessed.
We also got hard confirmation that stream that Kudzu's in the piss. But you know.
What the
No!
fuck?
Again!
No,
What?
stop! I'm gonna get
Why are you doing this?
PG-13.
Because this is not your. This is what I get because I did this on Dirk's channel. I was like, oh, it's not my channel. I don't have to worry about TOS. This is Marsh coming back and getting vengeance on your.
But yeah, those are my moments.
Gosh, this is about up there with me and Dirk played a VN a long time ago.
Oh, not that one.
Yeah.
Stop. No.
I was just like, I'm gonna play this VN. I'm like, oh,
I joined it. It was like you and one other person were just reading it, just shooting the shit. And I'm like, so what's happening? And it just gets into this really awkward scene. And I was like, I'm sorry, what is he wearing?
Oh my god.
What are you guys trying to do to me? Trying to run a family show here. Just trying to have a conversation.
Do you think they're family friendly?
Depends on the fan.
See, I feel bad because the two examples I have are not from streams. And now, of course, I can't think of the streams. Any other time, like, oh, I remember that funny scene for that video. Now I'm like, can't remember.
Well, if I had to go off like the most recent one that I just found stupid, like just stupid but funny, was like at the end of Where the Demon Lurks. Shoot, I'm not sure if this is like a scene we streamed or whatever. I think maybe we saw this on stream, but basically the main character Kobu, or as we call him, Kabu, is like sleeping on his bed or whatever. It's just like what is that, on the floor type of like futon type of situation, and it's like. Normally, the scene there itself just shows the bed and nothing else, just the bed in the background. And then it's like they eventually, one scene, just put Kobu on top of the bed, just his CG full body, like at a 70-degree angle, just laying on top of this bed. And I'm just sitting there, just internally, just cracking up at like how funny it is just to see like this realistic background with just an animated sprite just plopped on top of this like futon. Just like it was just so funny. Like maybe it was kind of meant to be like corny, but oh my gosh, I was like, it's just so dumb to me. But I'm like, it works. It works.
It's funny.
Well, there's one minor one in Route 65, and usually I broke into my narration to make a comment. And that was towards the end. They walk along the train tracks with Leo and Chase. And I don't know if you remember, at one point, Leo impersonates his mother. So I can't remember exactly the lines are now, but it comes to, Leonardo, why don't you find a nice girl and she carries on like this? And I had to stop and say, I have absolutely no idea what accent that was supposed to be. Because I was desperately trying not to laugh at how that came out. But the main one for that kind of thing is actually from Far Beyond the World. It's when we first meet Cora. I told Fallen this story. Unfortunately, I don't have the footage to show anyone. But she has the line back then. It's like, ooh, so strong. And usually I hadn't read ahead for this section. It was so new when I was recording. So I just going along. And the way the line came out, it's not the same voice I gave her later. But what the people heard watching the video, if I hadn't edited it out, was something along the lines of, ooh, so strong. Me laughing uncontrollably for like 30 seconds. Because just the delivery of the line I was not expecting. So I had to go back and redo it. And people actually comment. You can hear me trying not to laugh in the narration just after that line. Because I couldn't leave it in. I should have put it as an outtake after the video. It would have been funny for people. I forgot, though.
Yeah.
That's probably the single funniest thing I've had happen when I'm recording. Not just it's a funny line, just I was not expecting that.
Nice.
The two examples I have are both, unfortunately, I can't think right now of like an example when I actually played it and I have video footage. But the first time was when I was attempting to play Wolfstar Sins in Paradise. And it's probably not what you're expecting. It's not anything like mean or anything to do with the creation or the art or anything. So when I was playing the VN, I was like, okay, I was playing the VN, I was doing a test run, and which I later realized, yeah, there's no way I can get this on YouTube. But I played it, and the first scene that made me burst out laughing, just because how it comes out of it, how the way it comes up. The first scene, when the two main characters, Wolfstar and Hyper, end up in the purgatory, and out of nowhere, Wolfstar's like, "We have to do it," and I was like, "What?" I was like, and I'm just like, so that scene made me laugh just because it kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I wasn't expecting it. And then the second one that made me laugh was actually from Major Minor, and that scene was more like, again, like just surprise. It's when you first meet the assassins, because they just pop in, and I wasn't expecting one of them to look the way they do at all. And I was like, wait, he's an assassin?
Are you talking about the giant one?
No, I'm talking about the colorful one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that scene, I was like, what? I was like, just wasn't expecting, so I laughed. And I was like, I was like, and then I was like, oh no, that one I do have one recording. Because I remember I made that one of the highlights. Because I was just like, what? I was like, what the hell?
Ezio Auditore had the color palette of Krusty the fucking Clown.
Yeah, it was just so out there. I was like, what? I was like when you introduce assassins, I don't expect you to be the first one you introduced. I'm just like, what? But the other one's a little minor. It was just more at a surprise. That one just the major minor I generally laughed, but the other one was more just surprised. Like, okay, the scene kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Request, but yeah, that's all I got for right now. Unfortunately, I know there's more. I'll think about them after we finish recording. I'm like, oh, there was this time and this time, but.
Moving on to the next question here, we've got from Trinex Slayer. What positive interactions have you had with the developers of the novels you've read? So apart from being banned on a stream for talking about drinking piss, go with something a little more positive than that. I can't believe I said that shit out loud. Fucking disgusting. But I'd like to go first.
I guess I'll go first.
All right, Dirk.
Going back on the tennis ace track, I would say a great interaction I've had is with Basket is just talking about volleyball stuff, because in the fandom in general, just there's not as many like people knowledgeable about sports and stuff. And me being like somebody who played volleyball for a long time, it was like just something I had kind of off to the side where I'm like, man, I wish I knew somebody that talked about it. And then obviously tennis ace, there's volleyball stuff in it. And so Basket actually knew like a good handful of stuff. And so we would go back and forth and just talking about different things. Sometimes he would ask me about like, oh, this volleyball advice, does this make sense for volleyball people to talk about or say, or an action to do? And then we would get into that, or even just talk about whatever leagues or things were going on. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's somebody that knows volleyball like me. It just felt so great. And then obviously talk about other things, but like that was one of the key things where I'm like, whoa, somebody else knows about this.
Nice. Marshmallow Bears.
Recently, I was just thinking that if you would have asked me this when we did the first one, I probably wouldn't have had a story. But I know I've had interactions with the devs with Dawntide and where the demon lurks, and the dev for where the demon lurks actually is a regular in my streams now, and they are really, really cool. Yeah, the devs for Dawntide told me that they're really grateful for me for playing with their game, and really enjoyed it.
Well, that's very sweet. Blaidd Llwyd.
A few different devs I've just communicated with on Discord, just messages going back and forth, or chatted with a few of them as well. And I don't want to bring up a whole lot of names, but yeah, I've had some nice feedback from saying, oh yeah, we love what you're doing with this. Oh, good. I always worry about that kind of thing. And yeah, just basically sometimes I've had some chats just, oh yeah, I like this and this and this about your current update for that. Times just general stuff. And I'm not going to name any names here, but I hope I've been able to help support a couple of them. I've had one or two devs just kind of write to me, maybe not feeling too good about something, and okay, no, don't worry about that. You're doing well. Or just try and support them and point out the good stuff. So I think I helped with a couple of those kind of things, and that makes me happy if I can just help give back to someone whose stuff I really like. Just to, yeah, you're doing a good job. I think we all get like that sometimes.
Fallenwolf.
For me, I'm gonna give two examples. One, so the first one I'll name, I had Ko. He's the creator pretty much does everything: creator, coder, writer, musician. For 4-letter word, I've mentioned that a lot of times, but and he was generally a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. Very friendly. He was very open with explaining like how he got started in the whole story, explaining how some of there are a lot of like stuff with 4-letter word came partly from his real life relationships and issues and issues and conversations that took place while he was in certain conversations. And like I said, he's a really nice guy. Unfortunately, his visual novel is on hiatus and it's kind of disappeared. But hopefully, I'm hoping he's doing well. And so that was like my first big one I could think of. And the second big one is somebody pretty close to me. I think he's a friend. He's really big. He's like a big panda guy. Like, and he's really nice. And it's been great to catch his VN when I can. Fortunately, I haven't made more videos for it, but I've been a little busy. But I really enjoy his VN. I love seeing somebody who's really putting something they greatly enjoy into a visual novel. There's a lot of volleyball. A lot of like volleyball in their VN, and it's really, and I like seeing when a creator is willing to put things they enjoy, because like, while for me volleyball is like, I don't mind playing volleyball, but I'm not really into like the technical stuff for it. I still enjoy it just because I can tell the creators like having a good time, like almost giddy, like, let me put my, I love like putting all this things that they enjoy, and I think that's great, and not, like I said, and just icing on the cake is it's a really good friend, and I like, so, and they seem really like to enjoy the work they're making, and I think that's the biggest thing for me when you're a creator. I think you have to at least enjoy it a little bit. Every writer or every creator is going to be critical of something of theirs. They're never going to be 100% satisfied with what they make. But if you if you at least enjoy it and you're putting things in there that you enjoy and willing to listen, then I think that's that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they continue to keep working on their story because I like it and I want to see more.
That's
And
great.
more Selma.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few positive interactions with devs of games. The odd message here or there, or Twitter messages. And I won't be able to name all of them. I would feel bad if I tried and forgot a few. And of course, I've done the podcast where I've interviewed a number of devs, so I've gotten to chat with them that way. I've been very fortunate to be able to talk to people who have done a handful of the games that I've been enjoying, and it's been a great privilege. I'm not all of them, certainly not, but like I was saying to to the ones who were here before we started recording, the dream interview is Howley for this show, if he would ever be open to considering it. He's reclusive, but if ever I were able to ask him, and if ever he were to consider it, that would be the dream interview. Because I, outside of the odd Echo Project Twitter interactions, which I believe is him, I've not spoken with him near at length.
Yeah.
So,
a couple of those back in the old days.
Yeah. Back before they were doing a million things at once.
Exactly. Well, good on them for doing their best.
Oh, yeah. Moving on to the next question we got from Maestro Wolfgang. Which furry visual novel did you start playing this year? Did you like the most? And just to get it out of the way, I'm going to start first. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. We had some debate here. We did discuss this question before. We don't usually do this with any of the questions, but we did discuss this one before answering it. on this one, and there was some debacle about sharing answers. So I'm not gonna hog the answer for anyone that might want to have this answer. So I have no qualms with sharing answers. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dirk. You seem prepared.
Fine.
Yeah, you seem to be the one
now-
against sharing answers anyway, so we might as well go first.
Now I'm like thinking of two that I could be bouncing back and forth.
Oh, you want to
between.
take two answers for yourself? Ooh.
No. I just like if you wanted to choose the one I was really thinking of.
I really don't care about sharing answers.
You're fine. I have another one I liked, and I think it's a little more obscure. So,
Okay. The one I'm going for, I'd say by far the one that's like really like surprised me and just impressed me the most has been Glory Hounds.
Yeah.
Like everybody, I was like waiting to say, I'm like, everybody's gonna say this. Everybody's gonna say this. Gosh darn it! Like my honorable mention, I'll quickly say before I do switch. People could, I don't care if anybody has this answer, but where the demon lurks has also been really impressive too. But if I have to, go back to Glory Hounds. Everything about it is just so like everything in the execution is just so amazing, and everything just comes together so well. And so far, we just have like the three main characters of the cast, maybe 5, 6. Yeah, even the small like main cast that we have, it's just everybody just attached to. It's just everybody there is just great, and just going on beyond that, it's just the music, the art, the environments for it, the writing. Like just there's everything has been just so well put together, really well thought out, executed, and it's just been a blast to play. I mean, no bias there, with also another positive interactions with Red and Saber, both really, really nice people. And great writers too. Honestly, just they're great to me, and I'm not sure. I think I did meet them before they like were writing for Glory Hounds. I think it was like Red I started like talking with during like the smoke room or something. But
Red was doing Cliff.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was around that time. But yeah, very good team. They seem very amicable with each other. Like everybody really is on this project, and it really is obvious in the story itself. So that'd be my favorite by far.
I absolutely fucking agree. Oh my god. I fucking like I had to go through all my videos and be like, I want to make sure that I look through and see. And then as soon as I got to that, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna make sure, but no, that's gotta be it. That's gotta be. Oh yeah, that's gotta be fucking it.
Yep.
Oh man.
God, like my episode 1 of that was like the first 30 minutes of me were just fangirly and just having those little squeal moments of, oh my god, that's so amazing. Like, I literally felt like how some like Avengers or Star Wars or whatever like big cinematic universe fans are like when the next big movie comes out. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I'm just like, oh, I was flipping out like half of that first episode. So that's all I have to say about that. But man, that was a blast to play.
It's such exuberant joy. All in its it's bountiful in its Jesus. I cannot wait for the next issue to come out. I can't add too much more than what you said. Like every aspect of it was delivered almost perfectly. There was a small hiccup in the start screen, the small glitch that I found, but other than that, like the presentation was immaculate. I loved the side characters. I loved the main characters. I loved the villains were fun, for God's sake. It's so good. But I'll shut up now. So, Marshmallow Bears.
I have a couple. One of them is Glory Hounds. Glory Hounds is just so much fucking fun. It is like fun, like crystallized into like a furry visual novel. Oh my god, it's so good. Another one that I'm having a lot of fun with, Dirk mentioned it, is Where the Demon Lurks. Holy shit. That it's funny to say that a visual novel being well animated, but holy shit, is that visual novel so well animated? Characters are just flying about, running around, things happen. Like, it's so good.
It's so fluid too, for the most part. Unless it's like intentionally meant to be like cheesy or corny. It's like the things they do. I'm like, how did they code that so well? Like, you could do that with the whole sprite, or God,
it's
like
so good. Like,
delving into it.
Yeah, I'm breathless at like what they do in that game. Like, they even have like props. Like, they have like little props the characters hold. Like, why hasn't anyone else done that?
Yeah, like characters also are cut off too in certain ways. I'm not sure if they code that in the game or not, because I couldn't find anything that was like just partial of a character or anything like that. Like, it's like also to the story with it also is so good. It's not like, oh, they just had a bunch of animations. Like, what's the story? It's like it all matches so well. Like, you're not like taken out in either way. You're like, wow, that was so funny for this particular moment. Sorry to take your story, Marsh.
It's great. It's so much fun. Another one that hasn't been mentioned, but I did really enjoy, and I think it's something special, is Dawntide. That came out this year, and I'm really enjoying it. The music's great, the art's great, the writing's great. It's just I'm having such a great time with it, and yeah, that's
It was great.
Yeah. It just, I don't see that one getting as much love as I think it needs. Those are my 3 picks. 2 of them were already been said, but yeah.
Fantastic. Fallenwolf.
Da, da, da. For me, I'm glad, because I'm glad I saw the one I did, because I felt like everybody was gonna get like the good ones, or like the big. Let me rephrase that: the big ones out the way, like that are well known. So for me, I was actually gonna say, I don't know if anybody's heard of something called Heat Source.
I
Not for
don't
me.
think I have.
Nope, I had a feeling. Okay, so Heat Source is a visual novel. It's being worked on by a lovely person called Ari. And what I like about it is, so I'm gonna say it now. There's a lot of sexual energy in it, but I think what makes me like still really enjoy it, because usually I'm not like into those kind of things if that's the main focus. But like with this, it's not necessarily main focus, and all the characters feel like they have a lot of personality. The art isn't bad. I don't say it's very rare you'll hear me say like, I don't like art's bad. I think it's good enough for what it needs to be. And what I like about it too is, like, I know the creator a little bit, no biased. But like he's really putting a lot into it, and you can tell with the work that he really is taking like a lot of criticism, a lot of criticism to heart, a lot of suggestions, and it's good. I like it. I'm not usually one for like I said, visual novels that just mainly focus on have a lot of sexual energy to them, but I think this one's actually really good, and I would definitely recommend people give it a try. Like I said, it's really good, and there's a lot of personality, and I think that's what also saves it too. The characters have a lot of personality. Like, even though they might flirt and stuff, even flirt and do other things. They have a lot of personality to them, and it's a very down to earth like setting. So I like it. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. It is because I think it's came out this year. I think earlier this year.
Nice.
But that's the first time I've heard of it this year.
Blaidd Llwyd.
Oh, a few mentioned already, which I've been enjoying. I want to give a quick mention to Supernova. I started playing that this year, and I'm enjoying that one. But my main one, and the one that definitely have to answer this, is actually one you may not have heard of, called Polar Nights. I actually did a video back in the summer of that one. It's got one build out. And so far, it's just one build. I am really intrigued by what's going on. If you haven't seen it, basically, we're on a ship going to the Arctic to investigate what's happened to a previous research ship. And it looks like there's going to be quite a lot of interesting stuff, maybe some horror going on there. I'm definitely getting some vibes of things like The Thing from Another World, John Campbell's Who Goes There, the original story. Might not get there. I'm just getting that feel at the moment. But I am just enjoying it so much. And our main character is kind of flawed, not in so much his character and physically as well, I may know exactly what happened to him. I'm just going off sort of flashbacks here. And so I won't say anything. But it's just the idea that he has to deal with this terrible pain every so often, which I appreciate because, plus the headaches. But it's the idea he's nowhere near a perfect person to be. And we know why he's there and he's not sure about it. And there's also maybe a flash forward, or maybe just a flashback at the beginning. We still don't know. Is this going to be bad for them, or are we seeing what happened before to the previous ship? Yeah, there's a whole lot going on, and I am really enjoying this. I think it's going to be a really good story, and I think there should be a new build-up fairly soon, but it's one, if you like the more horror aspected things, you might want to check it out.
Nice. Speaking of things that are scary and strange, we've got Dragonov, not them, the scary thing, the thing they're asking about. How do you all personally address burnout? The oft-afflicted thing many a online influencer has to deal with on their influencing journey. Burnout. How do we address it? How do you avoid it? How do you deal with this ever-encroaching feeling of...
Well, given that I had a burnout earlier this year, well, actually, it was about a year ago at this time, actually. About a year ago, I had a pretty rough burnout from creative stuff. I was doing like 5 or how many visual novels per week. I was doing multiple ones, and like I think I had like 8, 9, 10 series at the time. That's where I learned, hey, set your expectations for your fans. Like I was just out of school. I was just starting to work, and it was just a lot to catch up on, a lot to do all around. Just being able to set that limit and just let people know you're human and that you're doing what you do best, or doing what you want to do is very key to make sure that you're not overexerting yourself, because it's easy to stretch yourself. Don't give yourself any limits. That's been the tough one that I had to learn the hard way. And yeah, any other advice for the burnouts other than just limiting what you do is just treating yourself to what you like from time to time with these novels, like, or whatever you're streaming, like whatever thing you like to stream or play or do as a video. Add some of those in between, sure, even if they're not the biggest videos or whatnot. I do my American Truck Sim stuff. I know that's not really a big lure for people when I go on Twitch and whatnot, but it's like things like that where it's just like stuff that rejuvenates you, that, to show, hey, I'm doing okay. And even if you're like, okay, maybe I don't want to do it that week, like just you need to set something that is a little more, I don't know, loose, I'd say, per se, while you have in between that your go-to things. But yes, those go-to staple things you have shouldn't be too many, because I had stapled myself to like 7, 8, 9, whatever many things, and now I'm like trying to limit that down to 5 or 4. It's been hard to shrink, but I'm doing my best from time to time. It's just one of those things where you gotta know, hey, if you want to do something from start to finish, you gotta make sure that you keep the room for it and not like add a bunch of stuff every single time. So like once you commit to something, just go through with it. But if you don't think you're gonna finish it, make it clear that you're dropping. Like I had to do that a couple of times. I had to, not like burn your bridges, but it was like, there's a phrase for that where it's like something your babies or whatever, where it's kill like, kill your darlings. And I had to do that a couple of times with like After Class was like the first one I really did that with. what are some other more recent ones? I remember obviously doing Far Beyond the World, but some real darlings for me with that I had to take off were Cilia was one that I had to take off. But there were a couple at the time where I was like, man, do I really want to take those off? And I still even debate sometimes, like, should I take off some more for my sake? And yeah, it's a constant ongoing thing. Just know that, because otherwise, if you just keep yourself in the same ways, you'll exert yourself too much.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
A little too much personal anecdotes on that one. But yeah, just something where I'm like, I definitely would get that out there. Don't have to make a video on it now. Well, just kidding. I'll just probably rant about it whenever.
Yeah. What about you, Blaidd? What do you do to adjust burnout?
Again, I try to just set a certain number of things to do every month. If anyone's really paying attention to the channel, you might have noticed past couple of months, pretty much weekends, I've been recording videos, putting them out. Haven't done any midweek videos for a while because this is the busiest time for me in work, and I've also been dealing with other stuff going on. And I can't do this. I need to slow down, just take my weekends, record, and hopefully January I can do the extra video now and again. And also sometimes just say, you know what? No, I am not going to do a video this week. I'm just going to take some time off. I'll let people know. But if you really have to, for sickness or just, no, I need a break. Just let yourself do it. I know sometimes it's difficult, especially when you have patrons and people are supporting your channels. Maybe I shouldn't because they're paying. No, just let them know you're taking just a 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever you need. But you have to think of yourself first and just, how am I feeling? Do I really want to do this today? Can I put it off till tomorrow? Can I just not do anything? And yet, you're more important than anything else with this. It's hard for us to admit that. I think we always, oh yeah, this is important. We have to do this. People are waiting for this. No, sometimes you have to step back and say, no, I matter. And just not do anything, do something short. My latest live video is shorter than most, partly because it ended on a good scene to have a cliffhanger on, but also I was actually suffering from some mild flu or something when I was doing it. I thought, yeah, this is really tough to get through, and I'm not going to do a good job after this. So, okay, let's just do 40 minutes, and we are done. So, yeah, it is hard, I think, to step back and let yourself be human, or wolf, or panda, whatever you happen to be. But just that, yeah, I can't do everything. Just step back and remember what else is going on in your life as well. This isn't your life for any of us. Lots of other things going on. Some of us are working full time. Others are looking for work. Others are wondering what's going to be happening next week for them. Yeah, if you need to stop and think, no, I need my time, just let yourself do that always. And if you feel you're forcing yourself, maybe you should not be doing that. It's the best I can say anyway.
Nice. Fallenwolf.
I still feel like I'm trying to get to a point where I can find this kind of balance, because I feel like for me it's either I'm trying too hard and putting all my energy into making content, or I'm not putting any energy into making content. So I think for me, I'm still kind of trying to find a proper balance. And I also think I can say I think a big thing for people, in regards to making content that's been really difficult for me has been understanding that there's nothing wrong with the way I make my content. I know for a while I was struggling really hard. I was kind of having like an identity crisis almost, when it came to making content, because like I would make something and I'd be like, yeah, and I'd be like, I like, because for a while I was trying to kind of like gently nudge my content to appear more like other people's content. And I think that ended up being much worse for me, because then afterwards I felt bad because, one, it wasn't doing as good as I was expecting it to, copying somebody else. and two, just in general, I felt bad because I'm like, oh, like I'm not even doing my own thing now. Now I'm just like, I'm not even having fun with this anymore because I'm not doing what I want to do. So I feel like the biggest thing for me has just been, I think biggest thing also has just been getting a proper schedule. For me, I know it's very, very difficult because I work a full-time job and it's so hard. I don't get it. I don't get how some people manage to do it. I manage to, make videos and have full-time jobs. I don't get it. I can't do it. um, So the biggest thing for me has been just trying to find a proper time management so I can get videos out in a timely manner. Because I don't want people to wait 2-3 weeks per video. That's annoying and it's frustrating, and I understand. And I'm trying to get myself to a point where I can just get a video at least once a week. So time management and trying to enjoy my content for having my own spark in it, and not trying to make it be something that it's not.
Marshmallow Bears.
Yeah, I also struggle with this. Sometimes I feel like I'm sitting over here taking notes from all of you guys because I'm like, oh, how do you avoid burnout? God, I don't know. I feel like I run straight into a wall with it. But our stream team manager has been making us all do schedules. And so I've been making schedules and making sure that I have at least a couple set days off where I'm not doing anything. Because it might seem silly, but when you're doing content creation, that is your job. And if you're constantly pushing yourself to make content every single day, you're going to get tired of it. And it's just like I need days off where I'm not doing anything, where I can just lie there and watch TikToks all day if I need to, even though every single atom in my body is screaming at me, saying, you're not doing anything. Be productive. Be productive. You're being lazy. Be productive. Because I've been where I've been streaming every day. I'm guest starring in someone's stream. Like, I'd go from my stream to someone else's stream, and it's just like I have to constantly be doing this, and it would come to a point where I just hate doing this. And it's like hitting that go live button is a monumental task where I'm just sitting there like, do I really want to do this? God, this is awful. And it's just like, I hate that feeling. And there have been points where I just had to take a week or two off to get away and recombobulate my thinking. And I really think just this making sure I have at least 1 or 2 days off a week has been helping me at least. Just have time for yourself, So yeah. Also, after a certain point of the day, just not answering work emails and like it's just like if someone comes to me and it's like, hey, stream idea, and I'm like, sorry. I just say to myself, sorry, it's past 9 p.m. I will get to you tomorrow.
I had a work situation like that where somebody, like, I messaged them like towards the other work day. I'm like, okay, this is my thing, info, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, thanks. Then at 5 a.m. the next day, they just say, good morning. Nothing else. And I'm like, this is not my time to work.
Creepy.
Yeah. I'm like, who does? I've never seen anybody do this. And it wasn't even like I had the job yet. It was like to possibly interview. I'm like, I don't even work for you. What the heck?
That's weird. I don't think that's weird.
I kind of may have ghosted them, but
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's kind of how you know, like, even if you're not just doing it for yourself, but yeah, to know that you're not putting yourself around people that push too hard.
Yeah. I have found for me that in addition to a lot of the things that everyone else has already said, so that I just echoing their sentiments. In addition to that, I find that I work best when I am wanting to do it. And especially if it's, this creative atmosphere, content creation, if you're working because you are forcing yourself to do it, that builds a resentment, or that builds a sense of obligation, or that builds a sense of doing it for the task of it, which builds up the lack of enjoyment, or the sense of wanting to get away from it, which results in the burnout for me as well, at least. And in addition, I find that my best work comes from when I'm enjoying what I'm doing anyway. When I want to do what I am doing, I enjoy it the longest, and I enjoy it the most, and I do my best. That's not always an option. Obviously, there are limitations to that. Given financial obligations, given time limits, circumstances, various other circumstances. But the best thing in circumstances where you still have to do the thing is to try to find the thing in those moments where you can still enjoy it for you. Even in moments where you're having to do things you do not want to do, try to do something in that is still for you, or that you enjoy. I always tried to find something at a job where I found just a little thing about it that I really liked. I don't know, it's just some small thing. Like when I was a barista, my first job was a barista at a Starbucks cafe. It wasn't a Starbucks, but Barnes & Noble cafe. Everyone thinks it's Starbucks, but it's not, just because they serve Starbucks stuff. My favorite thing there was when I had to go from one side of the bar to the other, because it was really slick, and I could do this like little spin thing, and I really enjoyed that small moment. Hated the job, hated it, but when I could do those little moments, I felt like I was dancing, and I just could ignore the fact that I hated what I was doing, or hated that I had to be there. And that made the world of difference to me. On some days, it saved me. And if you're translating that into a creative atmosphere, if you're feeling like you have to do some content creation, find something to take solace in. Find something to make it for you as much as you can, and take solace in that. That's my advice. Right. Only have a few more to go. Comes from Walt Hitchcock, who asks, which VN would you like to see adapted into a TV series or movie?
Can we all just get out of the way? A dash draw on ice.
I
There, we've all said it. I'll say my own answer, but I just had to put that one in there.
I was gonna say, but I definitely one of them was gonna be a Dasher. I feel like everybody can say, and I was gonna say, and it's not because I don't enjoy Echo, but I'm gonna get this out the way. I don't feel like Echo. I feel like Echo, to fully give it the experience, it would be an unrated or and whatever is above R, because there's no way they could get away with just. They would have to take out so much, even if they made it rated R.
Is anyone familiar with Fates, that anime VN series? Because the only way I want Echo to be adapted into anything is if they do it the same way as Fate, where it's just like, okay, we've adapted
I
the
know what
TJ route.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna adapt the first half of Leo's route, but not the second half, and then do Carl's route, and then a movie of Jenna's route, and then redo Leo's route. So it's just like, how do I get into this? You just jump in wherever. Just it's a mess. That's the only way I want to
It would have to be. There's too much in there.
I'm trying to think of another.
The way I see it, there are with VNs that go into branching paths. If you make it a TV series, you kind of have to do it like American Horror Story, where each season is like a different route or something like that.
Yeah.
But if it's a movie, you gotta pick a visual novel that doesn't have branching paths. Because if you just choose one, then it's gotta be the one you're choosing is like the canon route or whatever, or you're always gonna have a lot of people who are like, well, what about the other one that I like? And then that's like the evolved version of, well, it's not as good as the book. I already think that some of the CGs in Temptations Ballad are the quality of like like an animation of a TV show. Like I would love to see a Temptations Ballad TV series. And it doesn't have any branching paths, so you could just do it like that, or a movie, or whatever. The art looks really transitionable to that medium. That's also a very important thing, is that you can't just have standard sprite. All of a sudden, they're moving around and doing all that stuff, because some things don't translate to moving. There's just some examples just wouldn't work. But this, I feel like the story, the art, the mood, the atmosphere, all of it, I feel would work in a TV series. And I think it would just be a fantastic idea.
I think I have two of them. Glory Hounds would be great, but I think it should be a comic. I just want a full comic Glory Hounds.
Yep, I can't see it any other way.
Like, movie, TV show would be great, but I think it just becoming its own superhero comic would be great.
Yeah.
And then me and Dirk talked about before, but I think Where the Demon Lurks would be a great anime. It's basically an anime already.
Drama.
It's anime art style. It's so everything's already so animated. I think it'd just work really good.
Yeah.
Nice. I do agree. I think with I haven't seen Where the Demon Lurks, but Glory Hounds, I think if they made that into an animated TV show in the vein of like the Batman animated series, not so much with the tone, but with the level of commitment to the story.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be really good, because modern cartoons are kind of hit or miss for me. But like when they get it, they get it. When they don't, they fucking don't. But I feel like if they did Glory Hounds the show as good as they do Glory Hounds the visual novel, it would be really fucking good.
I still need to really think, because there's some I'm hopping with, but it's just tough because the ones I'm really thinking about are root based. It's kind of tough to make it work, because I feel like some stories that I read, like, oh, this one feels more canon to me. Like, for example, if we did have like a Password TV show or series, it would be like, I would say in my head canyon. It's a big canyon where the head cannon lies. The head cannon of Password, I would probably say, would be Tyson's root. And then obviously with that, it's like there's all those different like path A, B, C, whatever it is. But beyond that, I feel like it makes the most sense based on the character's history with them. But Yeah, that wasn't going to be my main answer. Sorry, I just kind of lost it for a second there. I'm just scrolling through what it was. Okay, there it is. Okay. So, yeah, I would say a more interesting one, like Echoes, that would be really crazy if we had to do all the different first roots of Jenna, Leo, etc. I think the one that would be the most straightforward, that would make sense for a series, would be Arches. Just because it would be kind of like a true crime horror documentary style. Especially there's this one scene where it's like we flash back through like characters of past that had been murdered, and we get like a full background detail on each of them and all that stuff. And there's like the one particular scene, and I think Marsh knows it well, but that particular scene I think would really be a pivotal scene in that type of series, just to really show just what is going on in Echo. I'm not sure how much I would like it personally, as in terms of when I watch this type of show, but it would still be very enthralling to me. I think it would make sense as a show if it ever got adapted.
Yeah. Fallen?
I'm gonna say a surprise one. I was gonna say, but it would have to be a TV show. Definitely a TV show. Way, way, way too much content for them to attempt to even make it into a movie. I'm gonna say Minotaur Hotel.
Oh, I forgot about Minotaur.
I think as a TV show that would be amazing. As a movie, it couldn't happen. I don't think it would happen.
Obviously.
Way too much content. But I think it would be very interesting as a TV show, especially because you don't necessarily have routes where you have two technical routes, but like most of the choices are just who you recruit to the hotel first, and that's a really good example of having certain episodes be just focusing on that character's predicament before they come to the hotel. I feel like best format. I feel like best format for like TV show.
Nice.
That's a great idea. That we really slept on that one. I think that's just a super series in general. Like, it's great.
Slept at the hotel.
Yeah, really. Can we check in?
Blaidd?
Well, actually, Fallen took my answer. I was going to say Minotaur Hotel.
Snippety snappity.
We got two.
It was an Astra and Minotaur Hotel for me. That's why I had.
Yeah. She's got some good points. And I was just thinking about it randomly out of nowhere. It's like, okay, we could have it. Okay, let's start our first episode further into the story. Or we can follow someone coming to the hotel and find the way, and we meet the MC and Asterion, and one of my dogs is trying to climb on me. And then in a few episodes, we could go back and have the MC's first visit to the hotel, and we get the backstory there. And you have these kind of two stories going on of Asterion and some staff, and we can have people coming in and leaving the hotel. We just get like two plots almost as an episode going through. One continues right away the series, others done within an episode. I think it could work really well as a TV show. And if it wasn't for all the paths and the routes in Password, I think that would work really well. You would have to choose just one, which, yeah, I agree. Everyone will complain about it. They didn't do this in this book. This is this. So why do we go this one? You know it's going to happen if you did it. But it is very self-contained. It's all set in the manor and the woods around there, apart from a few scenes in the open. And yeah, that would work really well. We have a limited characters we get to know, limited sets we need to worry about, and it's a very small concentrated show. That would be, I think, you need to do a one series, 26 episodes, done thing, rather than break it up. But yeah, roots and paths would be one.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is that it could be written in a way like it could be like a rewrite for the show itself. Like if they don't go in a particular route, rather we have like maybe episodes where we delve into each particular character's past or history or things like that. Like I could see that working, just because as we keep going on in later days, it seems less route oriented, more just the general path we're on oriented.
Yeah, it is.
So it's possible. It's just you're kind of sacrificing some of the accuracy. That whole thing of it wasn't like the book.
Yeah. Well, we have to also bear in mind, if you're changing mediums, you're changing the way a story is being told, which in turn changes the story a bit. So, you can't expect the same thing. But if you wanted the same thing, you should just do the same thing. This is a different thing, so you should expect a different thing. So yeah.
Oh
But I
man.
want it to be like old thing.
Old thing still exists. Damn it.
I don't like change.
Yeah. We're in the last handful of questions. From Auckland, we have, what advice do you have for people who want to become furry visual novel narrators or beginning narrators? Much love to y'all. You are all very inspiring. Heart emoticon. Remember emoticons before emojis were a thing?
The answer is ask Blaidd because he's the best narrator. Best narrator voice.
Well, under those parameters, Blaidd, you go first, as you've been nominated as being the best.
I would strongly disagree with that one, but we'll let it go for now so we can answer this. I think, first off, just practice on your own. Just go ahead, get a couple of friends on if you like, or just do it and just, find out the mistakes you're going to make, do them all out the way, get it done. But the main thing, find what you're comfortable with. Not just in the way of what stories you tell, but how you tell them. So a good example is, if you ever watch my videos, you notice I tend to just tell the story voice act. I don't add a lot of comments. I don't react much apart from in a place to call home because Fallen and I haven't read it and we're going through and discovering it. Which is a lot of fun to do, I have to say.
Oh, we're going through it. All right. That's a trip.
Yeah. And I know some of you deliberately say, no, I'm not going to read this. I want to find out what's going on. And I love getting those reactions from people. Something that I know what's going to come up. Okay, let's see what, say, Dirk makes of this. And I get the reaction from them. That's fun. But I'm not comfortable doing that so much. Some of the very early videos I actually break in and make a comment. I stopped doing it early because I don't like doing that myself. I prefer to keep going the story. So I do what I'm comfortable with. And other people, like adding commentary. And that's great. We get to know what you think of it rather than waiting till right at the end. And as you may have noticed, sometimes I don't even comment on anything. Here's your story. I'm going to leave it there. But that's what I like to do. If you like the commentary on there, go for it always. Do what you want and what makes you happy. And that's really it.
Great. If I had to add to that, those are all really good points. Another thing that was really good to do is reps, repetition with it. It doesn't have to be some sort of big thing. Like you just can just start by just going at it. Like even if you haven't like done any sort of like training or figuring it out yet, you can do that as you go along and just, start with a baseline to see this is where I can change. This is what I got. And just, keep working from there. Because that's how I started. I thought, okay, here's my baseline of, I want to see what my voice can do. But how can I get it to be more engaging, more dynamic, all these other little big advanced things. But when I start, I just was like, go ahead, I'll just do it. And that's just the biggest thing, having the confidence to start when you do either a stream, video, whatever type of visual novel voicing over. We all just, started from the bottom of that. We just saw this stuff and we're like, let's take our hand at it. And that's the only way I could say of like getting a full feel of like the mastery over the art or whatever. And, everything else will come around that. So that's what I'd say for reps. Shoot, I'm gonna have to get back to the other thought because I got so enwrapped in that thought. But yes, that is my big one. Repetition.
I'd like to jump in here and I'd like to say first, set no expectations. Not no expectations. Because I've heard too many people get started and are like, I'm going to do this, and I'm gonna make it to some 10,000 subscribers and or whatever, and because I watch this person and they get so many views, so I want to do this and whatever. And then they're like, why aren't I getting the views, or why aren't I doing this, or why am I not reaching whatever fucking benchmark I've arbitrarily set that defines my idea of success? And I'm like, bro, one thing's first, you just started. I've been making video in a week, in a month and a week, aka when 2023 starts, I will have been making videos for 20 years.
Oh my goodness! Congrats!
Whoa.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you. Yeah, there'll be when I started, I was 8 years old. So it was wee little lad at that time, but a little kid just messing around with a webcam. But I was making videos before the idea of making videos for money was even a thing. But I didn't reach 10,000 subscribers until like a couple weeks ago. And I still make videos that sometimes rarely crack 100 views. All right. Like, if your idea of doing this is for views, fine, but don't expect that out the gate, and don't expect to be enjoying yourself if that's your goal, because no one who does this for monetary success loves it. Anyone who does this for monetary success or a career goal, they do it explicitly because they're trying to game a system, or because they got lucky, like a Markiplier or something. He just happened to win. I don't know what the hell. He just won.
Right.
He's like a good person, and he is monetarily successful. It's insane. He's just won. But but yeah, that's the first thing. Set no expectations. 2, do it because you want to do it. If you want to read visual novels or narrate something, anything, do it because you want to, not because you saw someone else do it, not because you think it will get you somewhere, not because you think, whatever. Do it because you want to, because you think it'll be funny, because you think it would be cool to share it with your friend, because you think it'll be a fun time. Do it because you want to. Do it for those reasons. That's fine. Just don't do it because you think it'll get you something that you think will define something else, because that will be soulless to you. And lastly, be prepared to change your mind. Because if at any point you don't want to do this anymore, you need to be able to say that to yourself. At no point should you ever feel like you have to do something unless you're like literally by life circumstances being forced into it, like paying bills, for your water or some shit. I don't know. But if you're being made miserable by a hobby, don't keep doing the hobby. But if you're like trying to chase some arbitrary goal that you feel like has to come with success, then feel like you can walk away from it. But if you're enjoying it and you feel like you have to come with a goal with that, remember that you can do it just to enjoy it. And that can be all. That can be it. That can just be all. And when it comes to just being a narrator, a lot of people focus on voices. I can do all kinds of crazy voices. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing when you're being a narrator is acting. It's called voice acting. The only reason it's called voice acting is because you're not seen doing it. Has nothing to do with having a crazy range of voices. if you can emote, if you can tell a story that's believable and convey some sort of believability in what you're trying to carry to the audience, how you feel, what you're trying to express, that's the most important fucking thing. Doesn't really even fucking matter what voice you're doing. That's the most important thing when it comes to narrating. That's my biggest piece of advice for beginning narrators. Sorry that took so long.
It's very important to know that, like, so many things are like, yes, I want to say that. Especially the part about like not setting the expectations, because even every series I start, even after 4 or so years, it's like I'll look at like Adastra episode 1 compared to Adastra episode 17 and go, woof, episode 1 is rough compared to the last episode. Or, well, obviously Tennessee is the big example of that from beginning to now. But yeah, every single series, even if I started it in 2022, I'll look at like episode 1 of like, well, we just didn't remember the followers. I'm trying to think of something more old in that time, but yeah, I'll just use something from like, yeah, even Arches episode 1, I was like a little bit rough on. There will be sometimes when I look at that and go like, telling the age of what was I doing particularly back then? Like, oh, I had the face cam on. Oh, I only did this. Like, you'll see little nuances and go, hey, I did some changes in there. You know, that's the thing. Like, people can get very tunneled vision of this is what I need to be now. But yeah, you got to look at yourself and say, hey, I'm just doing it, you know, for myself. And it's just not a battle, but it's just a journey for yourself. Yeah. Do not compare yourself to like the 10,000 sub, 100,000, whatever sub person. Like, it is your own path, your own system. And yeah, some people will win that lottery and not everybody does. And whatever happens, you do, you don't. You just got to trek along and be your best self.
Yeah.
So yeah, well put, Viv.
It was never compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel.
Good one.
Marshmallow Bears.
Oh God, I don't even know if I have anything to add to this. No, you guys are great. You guys fucking nailed it. Gosh. I don't know. Make sure you're doing it for you. Is this what you want to be doing? Is this like Viv said, if you want to get out of it, get out of it.
It's okay to still question yourself too, right?
Yeah.
I still question myself, like, do I still want to do this? What do I want to change? That's okay. It doesn't have to be the end all be all. And even if you walk away, you can always come back.
Yeah. You know, one of the most, I'm sorry to cut in here, but one of the most comforting ideas that I keep going back to is the idea of the 90-year-old grandma graduating from college. Because people always write off elderly people as, well, they're just done. They're done with life. They chose their path. They finished. They clearly already did what they wanted to do. Now they're just waiting to die. Like, that's it. Well, no. No person is done until they're dead, pretty much. And it's never too late to decide to do a thing. And literally, there are people throughout their entire lives who will be like, you know what? I feel like doing this now. Or I'm done doing that shit. Fuck that thing. I'm done with it. I'm moving on now. Or in less blunt terms, of course, but you get tired of one thing, you want to move on to another thing, or you just get inspired and you want to finish that thing, or you just have a passion that you want to pursue. It's never too late. There are 90-year-olds, people who would expect to be at death's door, too tired, too done with life. No, those people still pursuing education, career opportunities because they want to do it. They're not done with their lives. What are you? some people in my analytics between 18 and 24 is my biggest audience. Are you really going to say that at that age you're done? You've settled in? You've made your final career choice? You can't choose something else? Meanwhile, 90-year-old grandma's getting her fucking bachelor's degree in economics. You're going to say that she can change her life's path, but you're settled in?
Try a new hobby, had something else. Like, honestly, I started getting into gaming again, and I really hadn't, gotten into that in like a decade or two. And I was like thinking, I'm never going to do this again. And then I just was like, hey, I'm back to gaming. Things like that. Like, even if you leave it for a while, like, it's just, life is a continuing story.
It's never too late to start. It's never too late to leave. It's never too late to come back. You can start, quit, come back, or be gone with whatever the hell. It's your life. You can choose. So, and I choose to let Fallen actually answer this question. So
Never too late.
It's never too late for you, Fallen, to choose to answer this question.
I don't really feel like I have any good advice.
Come on. Come on.
I don't.
Come on.
I'm a little tiny YouTuber. I don't feel like I have good advice.
I mean, you might have some of the best advice then for, people in similar boats.
I mean, because I feel like everybody's pretty much said the basic things. Make sure you're doing something you enjoy. You don't have to. I mean, if you're specifically going for furry visual novels, I mean, just do what you enjoy. It doesn't always have to be what everyone else enjoys. I mean, I do a lot of. I know in my chat, my little small channel on I do a lot of the VNs I do, nobody else does. But I do them because I enjoy them, or there was something in them that interested me. Like Familiar Travels, I think I'm the only person that out of our group that did it, and I was just because I enjoyed it, and I was like, hey, I want to do this. Or
that's one of the things that got me interested in your channel too. I was like, oh, you're doing Familiar Travels. That's neat.
And that was I mean, do what you enjoy. You don't have to. Don't feel like you're stuck in a bubble having to do Dastra's been a long time, but for example, if you don't want to do a Dastra, you don't have to do a Dastra. So many people have done it, so it's not like you have to do it. I mean, just do VNs you enjoy and be willing to try a mix of visual novels. Like, you might think you might not like a different genre, but you might be surprised.
Yeah.
And also, it might be a good idea to make sure, if you're not sure about the visual novel, playing it beforehand, so you don't end up having content that might not be suitable for YouTube.
That's a good piece of advice. Yeah, that's
really good.
Yeah.
Or at least ask people around, like, hey, do you know that maybe I've already played it? Hey, do you know if anything's coming up, so you can get a heads up? Because you don't want to have your channel die before it even started.
Yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be like a Does the Dog Die, but for visual novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody's heard of
I
that.
think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing. Just do what you enjoy. I mean, like I said, even if you want to do visual novels, I still feel like sometimes people forget that you still have to do what you enjoy, even with visual novels. If you don't enjoy a certain visual novel, you don't have to play it. There's plenty of visual novels out there that I played and I didn't care for, and I did other things. Like, I watch other people play them, and I play the ones I want to play.
If you are someone who is playing visual novels, but find yourself in a need to diversify, taking that as an opportunity to become more creative with your platform. Departing from the genre in a limited sense does not mean that it's the end of all content creation. It is an opening to further content creation in other aspects.
I mean, that's what I literally did this year. I went
Yeah.
from just VNs to doing gaming and variety on Twitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
YouTube.
I'm not even just VNs too. I do a bunch of other stuff.
exactly.
I will give this piece of advice. It's not just for VN stuff, but it's for like streaming and content creation in general. If you are thinking of putting a viewer count total in the corner of your screen, do not do that.
Fuck.
I
I need to delete that.
That is the worst thing for me because it terrorized me. I recently deleted that because the only thing I could do while I was streaming was stare at that viewer count total. You need, when you are streaming and doing content creation, you need to be learning how to be entertaining at 0 viewers is incredibly useful, because if you do manage to get big, like really big, and I mean that chat is scrolling at 5,000 miles per hour, you are basically chatting with nobody. So learning how to bounce off of yourself or the few people that are in your chat is incredibly important. And yeah, just delete that viewer total, because it is going to drive you crazy. And because if you're on a roll and you see that drop, it's, at least to me, it makes me feel like I'm failing, even though I am on a roll. So yeah, just
Good point.
don't put that in the corner of your screen. It was the bane of my existence, and that was a cause of some of my burnout too, because it's just like, man, I am just failing to like entertain people, and it's like, no, that's, viewer count isn't everything.
There's a lot of things going on too that are outside of your control. Something happens, somebody else does a stream, or something, happens where people can't come. Like, there's so many bajillion factors.
Yeah, it's like that one person leaving might not have been because of you. It might have been because, I don't know, their pizza was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they might have to go to class or something. I've had some people like say that, like, "Oh, I gotta do a test." I'm like, "Good luck." Like, that's the fun part. Like, yeah, if you don't see the viewer and they just say it in the comments or whatever, you're just like, you make a personal connection. Like, yeah, do your thing.
It is time for the final question. It is time for us to hear from Beansy. And they ask us this. Do you have a specific routine or warm-up you like to do before going into voice acting? Or do you like to jump right into it? I know everyone's different, so I was curious to get some insight into everyone's experiences. Smile face emoticon. Am I alone in this room?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Class, can you hear me?
Was I being weird? I'm sorry.
You want me to? I can go first, I guess.
All right, we will start with Fallenwolf.
So for me, it depends. There are some voices that I can just go right out and do just because they're so similar to my regular voice that it's not an issue. And then there's other voices that are a little more difficult, and I might take a moment to practice. Like, an example is, like, today I was recording a Familiar Travels video as of the time of this recording. So trust me, by the time this video comes out, you guys, it will already be out. but yeah, like I'd like, for not all, but like some main characters, I'll just mostly use my normal voice. But like the one main character in that game, he's kind of soft spoken, and he's really unsure, and he's kind of like, so it's pretty much my voice, but a little softer and a little more delicate. And so like that voice, obviously I don't really have to practice. I just have to talk a little more softer and more delicate sounding. And then there's other voices that require a lot more practice. Like, they're really hard voices that hurt my throat. Not that the one didn't, but like I've had voices where I'm like, oh, I don't have time to practice. I'll just jump right in, and then I'm like trying not to cough while I'm recording.
Yeah.
So it depends. So I think I feel like for me it depends, but I feel like you should always have some sort of practice, even if you just read a few sentences from a script or whatever you have around you, just to get yourself adjusted to, okay, it's a reading time. Especially if you're a person that doesn't have good focus, because if you practice reading your mind set to, okay, when I start this, I'm reading. I can't have my mind be like, oh, look at the pretty butterflies outside. Oh, look at the rainbows. Is that a unicorn that just flew by? You have to be like, no, I'm focusing on the screen, and what's in front of me is what is my whole world right now. So I feel like it really is a good idea to get like a mindset of reading beforehand, even if you don't, even if you know you're not really doing quotations voice acting, just to get your mindset, especially if you're a person that, like I said, has your attention. It's very hard to keep your attention focused.
Fair enough. Marshmallow Bears.
Oh gosh. To probably to my detriment, I don't warm up before I start doing voice acting stuff. I probably should. And every time I like go into a reading or a stream, I just kind of jump into it. And I think to myself, man, I should warm up. And I do know some warm ups. It's just, I don't know. My ADHD brain is just like, no, do it. Do the figure. You're not going to do it. There are some voices where it's just like, I can just go out and do them. But if I need to, like, but there are some ones that are harder. And to like get into that voice, I'll do like a certain like noise to get into the voice. Like, so if I want to get into TJ, I have to go, oh, before like every line, I have to do oh to get into it. I should probably do some warm ups. It might help my voice and help me from hurting my throat as much. And don't be like me, kids.
Dirk the Red Panda. Well, let's jump right into it. Well, the way I warm up is, before my streams, I know as a streamer, it's like typically you're just going like right off the bat and jumping into it, being very like off the cuff with like doing your voices. And you would think, oh, I'm just winging it like that. But actually, before streams, I will like start with like projecting my voice, because at some of my streams in the beginning, I was really, really like quiet or shy. Like I was like, very nervous about doing this stuff. And yeah, because of that, I wasn't really producing my voice like this or projecting it. And so I would do like a little test on my mic, look at like the OBS, like thingamajig or whatever, the audio mixer, go up and down to see, hey, am I being loud enough? Can people hear me? Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, first I would start out with like, this is my voice. This is my voice. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, or whatever. And then if I was doing different voices on stream or whatever, I would, maybe test a couple of them if I knew what characters I'm doing. But outside of that, like, I would just try on voices whenever, like if I'm just, I don't know, in the shower or doing something, or I see something on TV or I read something, and I'll just be like, let me practice. This is the voice that I do that I would like to try with it. And I'll go with the gruff voice or whatever it is to do it, and just like voice out whatever was being talked about there. And that's part of it. Like some of your warm up isn't even warming up before the stream. It's just having those repetitions, the different little muscle memories of just doing it off the cuff. So when you do it, you're not like so like tense about doing it in the moment that, getting yourself comfortable with it. That was always my biggest worry, was I have to be ready now. I need to prepare now. And the way to be prepared is to just be as comfortable and always prepared, or, be as prepared as you can throughout time. Nobody's going to be perfect, especially me. But that's how I do it. I do my best with just having done stuff outside and off and whatever. And then right before the stream, make sure I am loud and clear, properly ready, set up with my body. And then, just go from there.
Nice. Blaidd Llwyd?
Don't really have too many kind of warm-ups. The main thing I always make sure is I'm not thirsty or anything. Have a glass of water, or just before we started work on this particular episode of the podcast, had a cup of tea on the go. So, okay, I'm good. I'm not thirsty. I'm not hungry. Anything like that. I'm not distracted by things like that. And the only other kind of warm-up I really have to do sometimes is, what voice does this character have? Especially the second episode of a series is always an issue. So I go back, check my videos. Oh, okay, so they talk a bit like this all the time, and this is the one. Okay, so we have that. No, we have gone to this kind of voice for that one. Okay. I just run a couple of sample lines for characters I'm not sure about. Okay, we're good. Then, like Dirk said, check the levels. Okay, they look good. Basically, my main vocal warm-up, just my intros to the videos. Never the channel intro that's pre-recorded, but just me rambling on over the title page of the VN and trying to think of something interesting to say, and often running out of things to say. So I admit I've run out of things. Let's get on with it. Just me talking normally. That's it. And sometimes it does take me a few lines and certain characters to actually get right where I want it. Thanatos is notorious for that. I don't know if people ever notice, but first couple of lines he appears in Password, I'm not exactly there. Third line, fourth line, unless I go back and redo it. Yeah, I'm okay now.
Oh my god, same here.
I have to build up to him.
He is tricky.
He is, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty much how I do it. And if I know it's a very awkward character coming up, I will try and run a couple of lines for them just to make sure I'm there. Unless it's a female character, in which case it's my bog standard. Oh, hello, who are you? Kind of high-pitched voice as best I can do. And hope no one notices they sound like everyone else.
You try.
Oh, man. I'm realizing y'all are pretty much way more prepared than I am. 'Cause I do most of my leveling adjustment in post. I have my levels set to not be maxed, and then as you mentioned, like going back and checking what the voices were. I always tell myself I should do that, and then I don't. I start recording, and then when I get to a character I don't remember the voice of, I just have to stop and look them up in mid-recording. Like, oh shit, I forgot what they are. Hold on.
That's happened to me.
I was gonna say that happened to me sometime, especially if it's one of those like weird minor characters that shows up during random scenes. Like I'm like, oh, this character will probably never show up again, like Echo does sometimes. Like, hey, surprise! And it's like, oh, wait, when did I do your voice? Like 3 videos ago? Oh, let me try to...
Yeah, so sometimes those 3 videos ago are like half a year or 9 months ago.
Yeah.
You're like, shit.
But I just feel so bad because, like, I've done it so many times. You'd think that'd be like, oh, this route, I should look and see what happened. But no, I don't. I never fucking do. I always forget to do it. It's not that I don't forget. I never even think to do it. I don't even. It's never even crossed my mind. But in terms of like vocal warms up, I get a 3-liter jug of water. And it's usually filled up to some degree. I keep that near me. Unfortunately, the best terms of clarity I get when I'm having trouble nailing a voice is coughing, or just sort of like clearing my throat. That's not the best. That's not a good way to do it. But usually it's when I'm doing like a gravelly voice, when I get down here and I'm trying to say something and I'm realizing that there's how I just fucking hit the fucking microphone and it hit me in the face. But I'm realizing that there's some kind of like a Flemish people have left their luggage in my throat, and I'm like, no, I need to get this shit out of here. And I'm just, and then, okay, I'm back. The only other thing that I do is, I have one thing where if I'm noticing that I can't get a voice to quite fit how I usually do it, for some fucking reason, I have a control phrase where I don't know why, but for some reason, when I say this one phrase, I can almost always, it's like a tuner. I can get my voice to go back to normal and get it to fit right if I say that phrase. The phrase is, I don't understand. And if if I'm struggling to get a voice to sound like itself, and I'll just stop and I start saying, I don't understand, quietly to myself. And then the voice starts sounding right. It's a tuner phrase or a control phrase. It's fucking weird. I don't know why, but it just works for me. But in terms of just staying warmed up, like it was mentioned before, I just fucking do voices all the time. So it helps with the idea that was mentioned of like staying ready. Because when I go to sit down to record, I pretty much just get it set up and fucking click. All right, we're going. Fuck. All right, and then that's it. Because I really don't. I'm just sitting down and recording. I'm just talking to you guys. I'm really just a schmuck in a room talking. That's it. That's all there is to me. There's nothing else.
Yeah, we're just ourselves here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's nothing left to add, that was it. That was it for this. The furry visual novel narrator friggin' roundtable HD remake DVD fucking revengeance.
Yes, the extravaganza.
Yeah. Thank you, guys, all of you, for being here. All 3 times. We had the same lineup every time. We were able to make our schedules work every single time. Getting people together as adults is like trying to sweep the ocean back with a broom. It's incredibly hard. But I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate the fun and the authenticity you guys have approached all of these questions with. And it's been a real pleasure and a privilege to be here with all of you. And I hope that in whatever form we all join up together again with in the future, for whatever the hell we eventually do, if you all are interested, we get to talk again in some way. I hope you give me that pleasure again.
Oh, we really appreciate you having us all.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really think this is a good thing. It was very long, but
Yes.
that,
Sorry about that.
It was worth it.
very yeah, but it was very fun though.
It was supposed to be like a 1 episode, 1 hour or something originally, the original idea.
Yeah. It was
Oh my gosh, it
one
only
episode,
Jeez, imagine
1
trying
hour.
that.
Fucking hell.
Oh,
Oops.
You get
Whoopsies.
you get a bunch of people in a room whose job it is to talk, and you don't think that they're gonna talk.
I'm
What are
sorry.
we gonna do? Answer everything with one word?
yep.
And of course, thank you one and all for all the questions. Sorry we didn't get to all of them, but to the ones that we didn't get to, know that I did read all of the comments. I appreciate all of them, whether we answer them personally or not. And to everyone who's watched any of the parts, any of length of which, I appreciate you sharing your time with us, and appreciate all of that very, very much indeed. Thank you for being here. Thank you to just everyone all over the world. Thank you, except the ones that suck. So,
All right.
There's some shitty people out there, and I don't want to thank them. But those people aren't watching right now. So never mind them. Yeah. The sucky people aren't watching. But you know who they are. You know who they are. Anyway, so on the next episode of Following the Plot, I don't fucking know. But until then, everyone, I have been the trained unprofessional VivianJade, along with some of your most beloved visual novel narrators, online personalities, and people of note who will now do their outros, because that's not at all a clunky format that hasn't gone wrong in some way or another in the past, starting with Marshmallow Bears, you go first.
Oh God!
You go first. Do it. Do it.
Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have an amazing night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Fucking love the way you say that shit. Fallenwolf, say bye to me.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
Well, thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully, you haven't passed out somewhere, or you're not, from listening from this. What is the total? What's the total? 12 hours? I don't know. Was it 3 hours and another 3?
Probably
10
9
hours, probably.
And there's
10,
the
almost
clips.
11 hours. I'm sure somebody will make this into a playlist. Hopefully, I'm sure somebody will. Thanks so much for watching these, though, and hopefully I'll see you at my next video. Or if not, maybe I'll see you the next time I join up with one of these wonderful people. You should totally watch their content if you're not watching it already. But this has been Fallenwolf, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
He's cute. Dirk the Red Panda. Dirk.
all right.
Yeah.
It's me. All right, everybody. I appreciate having y'all here. So thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, take care, folks.
Better take care, folks. He said so.
This
and
is a command.
it is a command. You better take care, all of you folks. Blaidd Llwyd.
That was 5 of us talking about visual novels and random things for the 3rd time in a row. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'm sure we'll do this all again at some point in the future. So until then, bye for now.
I hope so. And of course, the links for everyone is in the description down below. Please check them all out. They're all wonderful people who make fantastic content and deserve your love and affection and time. And hopefully you shall share wonderful times with them. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. And until next time, I've been the trained unprofessional, and bye, everyone. Bye. Outros have never been my strong suit. It's because I don't like to say goodbye. Yeah.
Never like to end.
Yes. The endings are always the hard part. Yeah.
It's weird to conclude
Yes.
after all that.
After all that. Yeah. Guess I should stop recording now.
Guess this part's gonna stay in.